Hello and welcome to this Week 4 Mystery Seed matchup between What Are You Doing in My Swamp, Palace, and Beard Forest 1. We have Dawnvenure and DarkShadows59. I'm Unknown Availability, and I have with me Monistic. And I always mess up the very end. How are you, Udai?
Doing great, and I think that's common for everybody, and everybody's got a different name. It's not a big deal. I'm Dawnvenure, joined today by Unknown Availability. This is Mystery Week 4. I'm so excited for this. We have no idea what we're about to witness, except looks like some Randomizer at least.
It does. It is an Randomizer. Now, so one thing that is interesting that you see happening, Dawnvenure is actually looking at what the seed is saying. So there's a few things that you can actually tell from the very beginning. I wasn't paying attention to what it was saying, but you can find out if it's going to be inverted. You can kind of get a little bit of an idea. So it's looking like we are assured swords, which is, or at least to start with one. That's going to be interesting. Not swordless. So we are looking for basically whether or not it's going to be a key sanity, a entrance, and as of right now, we know Randomizer and we know at least an assured sword. So give us an idea of the other things that can happen in this literal mystery that we're waiting for.
Yeah, so if you're looking at all of the weight settings for, what can actually get rolled in the mystery seed, it's a little different from, say, League to just your generic mystery settings. At a link to the past randomizerleague.com, ALTTPR league.com, there the rules page actually has the entire thing listed. You have about an equal chance of a standard open, and then like a 10% chance of an inverted seed. The goals, split between defeat, fast, all dungeons, master sword pedestal, and we have a couple of different configurations we could have for the tower requirements and Ganon requirements, on top of all kinds of other settings.
All right, so we do have standard. So this is a standard start. That does not mean entrance hasn't happened. It could still be an entrance randomizer with it being a standard start, which is kind of a unique thing. Oh wow, that sprite was terrifying. Gotta love Randomizer whenever you have standard, because everything, all the sprites that you don't get to see anymore past the original start are all messed up. They're all jank and goofy. Big 20.
Yeah, so with that standard opening and the Randomizer, we will have, of course, the assured sword as well. So our uncle today not necessarily giving us a guaranteed weapon like you'd expect in standard. We already have it.
Yeah, so this is going to mimic a lot what happened in week 1, I believe it was. No, week 2, I don't even remember what the weeks were. It was one of the weeks that we had a standard start and you got a sword with it. So it was the actual Ambrosia settings. So one of the easy ways to tell if it's going to be entrance, you can actually go south here. Oh, that is awful. Both of them take a death at the exact same time, but to the exact same ball and chain guards. That is a horrible room. Wow.
Well, if it were any more synchronized, you'd think it was swimming. Ooh, Divergence in Hyrule Castle. This is one of the most exciting things I've ever seen in the Link to the Past, actually. Left versus right gambit. I didn't expect this.
Shoutouts to doing that, though. That's not a bad call. If you don't like the ball and chain guards, you do have the other side to go to. Now, one of the things you can do to tell if it's entrance from a standard start, you can actually look at that door that goes towards the outside when you're heading down escape. And we have early boots. Wow.
Yeah, already having the sword that makes the dash like super powerful really early on. Yeah, as you mentioned, there's a couple ways to check to see if you got an entrance randomizer, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of people are fearing to not know before they leave the castle.
Yeah, so every time I try to say something, they end up finding something really awesome. If you look at that door, it actually has a guardrail. You can't go out that door in standard to avoid basically rain state shenanigans. So that's the biggest reason behind that, which it's a good way to tell early. But honestly, if you're going to walk out of escape anyway, you're gonna find out it's gonna be entrance as soon as you walk out of sight. So,
What you're saying, that max rain percent definitely not a fun thing to do with the game state.
especially in randomizer, pretty much. Yeah, avoid that.
Yeah, for those of you out there who aren't familiar with the world states, you know, in the vanilla game, there was a state of the world called Rain State, obviously during the escape section, but you can actually escape that using some glitches. And there is actually a category related specifically to going all the way to Ganon in Rain State. There are quite a few things that don't work as intended about the game with that problem, though.
Oh, you don't say. You mean the developers never intended you to go to Ganon whenever the rain is still on from the beginning of the game?
I mean, there are folks out there mad enough to even try to take Zelda to that fight.
I've seen the Zelda shenanigans taking her all over the place on a wonderful magic carpet ride.
Yeah, but the bare minimum, we'll at least see her through the escape here. So, looking at probably somewhere in the territory of like 6.5 minutes. They both took a death, and it was pretty early in the castle.
And both of them are probably feeling a little behind based on that. So nerves are going to be kind of high. Taking a death in a standard escape is just, it's terrifying as a runner because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what your opponent did. If they had the same exact problem, then you're safe, but you don't know. You really don't know. There's no way to feel better about dying this early.
Yeah, well, the good news, of course, is that they have boots, so any kind of death here early on, a little bit mitigated. It's a little easier to catch back up if you have the boots access really early. So who knows exactly how they're feeling just yet. I know I would be very nervous about what's lying ahead.
Of course, and if they come out of an entrance that's not near Bonk Rocks, routing is really going to take a huge play into this with your boots. Early boots are great, but you got to consider a couple of the places that get, that is a fire bar room if I've ever seen it, that get kind of alienated whenever you have early boots. But if you come out right next to it, then you can check that on the way over to, you can check that pretty quick. I think that's Key Sanity.
Yep, that text box tells us, so, oh boy. Ouch, Dawnvenure accidentally taking a death here from that spike.
So that tells us at least one thing. That does not mean that it is full Key Sanity. It could be small Key Sanity. That could be just maps and compasses. You have to find that key in order to get through escape, so that was going to be here anyway. But if it's just maps and compasses, I believe in the standard start for Key Sanity, it's going to say you found a key to this dungeon. It's not going to give you the other, any kind of difference. So
some details being filled in due to some astute watching here from the chat. It appears that there is a place in the tracker in the in-game menu for big keys. So this actually should be full Key Sanity if that's to be believed.
I'll straight up admit, I thought that showed up no matter what. I didn't realize that it actually took that into effect and put it in there if it was full Key Sanity. I did know that it showed up, but yeah. But I did see as well the big key that they picked up. Usually in full Key Sanity, it will say that. It will say, big key to this dungeon when you pick it up, even though it's a drop. But we do know it's maps and compasses at least. Okay,
yeah, so
well,
we'll update on that once we have that all sorted out. It looks like we do see a text box for this big key though, so dang.
And it is entrance. And there goes Dark Shadows with the pause of okie dokie, I need notes.
Basically cross keys at this point. We're not sure exactly what the entire entrance randomizer setting is just yet. I don't think maybe you're able to deduce that.
Well, if he finds a connector and goes to it, we'll find out. Cross keys means that you can go from the white world to the, well, that's an early Ganon's Tower big key. That's nice. You will find out that once you go into a connector, which means a entrance that will have a entrance and an exit that goes somewhere else. So in this one, you will go into, let's say, the Sahasrala's wife's hut, and you go out to the left door. Well, that gives us the information that if they come out of the dark world, bunny state, whatever, boom, that's cross keys. That is going to be cross world. Now, there is the possibility that it is just a normal entrance randomizer where you can take a connector and it keeps you in the light world or keeps you in the dark world whenever you use the connector. That's a full entrance shuffle, or simple, where I believe that just means the dungeon. No, well, it's surely not simple.
Yeah, certainly a lot of things going on already. We find a bow here early on in one of the entrances leading out of, looks like Kakariko, into the Ice Rod Cave. So that's a good early item for Randomizer, if nothing else.
Yeah, that helps a lot, especially with starting with a sword that's nice, but there's going to be a lot of enemies you need to kill fast. And a bow will do that.
Well, we have made our way into Thieves Town, not Village of Outcasts, though. Still hanging out just in the internals of Kakariko at this point. One of those two Sahasrala houses entrances, of course, being that bow, this one being the other.
Now, we did see the compass in the back of Swamp, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the compass of Thieves Town. I am actually grabbing a pen. This commentator is going to be taking notes.
Yeah, it's I opened up Notepad as soon as I realized. I'm like, wait a second, we should probably be keeping track of some extra things here.
Yeah, and speaking of keeping track, shout outs to Regaro doing our tracking today, doing a fantastic job helping us out, making sure we see what's going on screen, because they have probably one of the toughest jobs right now, considering their current setup. These two love dying in the exact same fashion.
Yeah, it's a lockstep currently. So Dark Shadow is the first one out of Thieves Town back into Kakariko. Gonna continue checking entrances at this point because now we know that we gotta literally go inside every door.
Pretty much, and we're still curious whether or not it is a cross worlds or a full. Well, that is another dungeon right there. It's more like Kakariko dungeon shuffle. That's what it looks like to me. So Turtle Rock is right there in the bush house, or I guess Hotel Mario, if you want to call it that, from Vanilla.
All right, so that's Thieves Town and Turtle Rock here in Kakariko. Things that our two runners are going to be trying to remember because they cannot finish both of them.
And early Ganon find in the Magic Bat drop down. That's nice to find there because you're not worried about it, but that means that you're probably going to have an easy find up in the Lost Woods to be able to drop down and get some good items. Now, this is going to be one of our first indications. Are we going to have Bunny? Wait, what? Oh, yeah, okay. I got confused really bad. His Link Sprite confused me so bad because he has the Dark Sprite, and that was his Bunny state.
If only he had the means to drop a bomb in here in Paradox Cave, because he would be able to Super Bunny if that were the case.
Yeah, that would be good, but I thought, do you keep it through the transition?
No, so most screen transitions will, like most load and reload settings, like, leaving a cave or entering it, should reset the actual glitch.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So if he would have dropped, he would have been able to open it, but not actually pick up the pots to go check the two chests. So
exactly.
So yeah, he would have been able to get somewhere, but not really that far. So we've got a connector sending you over to the Zora area. So if we get early flippers, that connector it could possibly be useful. That could lead to a glove on Zora, which that may be what you need.
So you may have been wondering, what was Dark Shadows waiting for there, folks in chat, and I can totally hear you. I'm using what's not telekinesis, it's ESP or something. basically he's probably trying to track things. At this point, now that you know that it's going to be an entrance randomizer, you're pulling up whatever tracker you got to use. You're making all the notes. You know, as a runner, you just don't want to forget something on account of just not remembering.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing whenever I'm running any kind of cross-world thing. I write down my connectors, where it goes, if I need to do bunny state, because one of the things that is useful for that, for Dark Shadows, is that bunny state, it's a possibility that he's going to have to use that. That connector is really a big possibility that they're going to have to jump down and run all the way around to an entrance to find a connector to go to somewhere else in the light world, or even somewhere else in the dark world to get up to like Death Mountain or something like that. So there could be any a number of connections that they have to find.
Yeah, so speaking of other connections to other worlds and other stuff, we did not quite a connector, but we did find Palace of Darkness in Kakariko as well. So that's 3 dungeons we can access just from the beginning of the overworld.
Yeah, and that Palace of Darkness entrance was right there in the Kakariko shop that you can buy bombs early. Dark Shadows, finding one of the hard things about entrance randomizer, whenever you come out of an entrance, if you don't have a way to get out of that entrance or get back into it, you're stuck. So he got locked. He didn't have a glove. He's hoping to find that glove, but there you go. But he found another connector over there in Akina's cave, so we'll see where this possibly leads. This is the ferry door for Turtle Rock over on East Death Mountain. So you actually would mirror off of Laser Bridge and go to this ferry door. And I think that was a small key on Desert Ledge. We do have a bottle, so if we find Sick Kid, that's going to make that a lot easier. But you don't have to worry about coming back to find Sick Kid. You're done with that check. So that's a pretty easy frame, or like ease of mind. One of the things about entrance that gets really rough, from experience, you'll find something like Witch's Hut, which that's another one that's bad because you have to go in 2 separate locations. Oh no, that is the Kakariko well that is behind Aga 1.
Yeah, so that means we have, because those are always going to be connected, they're never unpaired, right? You know, we're going to have to kill Aghanim to get those items.
Pretty much, yeah. So in the mystery settings of this, it will not be unpaired. I believe it's, I believe there's some sort of insanity shuffle or whatever that does unpair them and can move the entrance and exit of their drop downs. So I don't believe, well, I know for a fact that's not in the mystery settings whenever you use the bot. Hey, look, we have money game and you can shoot some arrows, but we have 586 rupees. No need to do that.
Yeah, good to know that something like that is, you know, kind of tucked out of the way. We're not going to likely need to be over in this direction too much more anyway, so nice that something useless for now is in a spot that we only got to check once.
So we found a dark room over on Dawnvenure side. I did not see what they went into, but they're doing a little bit of Dark Death Mountain bunny sprite movement. So they're going to be able to see an entrance here. They might actually get another connector, but this is out of logic. No doubt. Like they went through a dark room because they found the front of Old Man Cave, which apparently led to the Dark World, which is actually really useful.
Yeah, so going to have a bit of weirdness here with trying to do the blinds hut there. Unfortunately, not keeping regular link state there, so we can't get those 5 items. But having that knowledge is really great. That's a lot of items as soon as you find that moon pearl.
Yeah, and Blind's Hut being one of the ones that you can't entirely cheese, so you can't use Super Bunny state with the mirror, so you can't even do that trick and get by with that. All right, checking the Vanilla Sanctuary entrance. Let's see what is there. That is Magic Bat. We do not have the ability to cheese that right now. They're going to have to write that down. Dawnvenure is actually going through the checks that Dark Shadows has done. So one of the things that's honestly a tough thing to get used to in my mind doing commentary for this setup is the amount of just different checks they're doing. Even making notes, not running the game and making my own notes running the game is so difficult. So knowing where people have been and where people have not been, forgive me, it's one of the toughest things to do. So
yeah, just being real, folks, this is going to be a little bit difficult to keep track of for anybody, let alone our tracker today, Rag, who is actually really good at this stuff. But since there are so many different locations, so much information, we will end up falling behind on that. So we will lean on you, chat, to hopefully help us stay informed on some of the littler nuances that we might end up missing.
Oh, well, here's an early check that you can get. And, that spike is in just an awful spot. Oh, and Dark makes it by. Good job on that. And validation arrow, man.
Being rewarded.
Dark. Oh, got a little bit off there. He was gonna try. He was gonna try at least get to that middle hover. That's a that would have been epic to see, but hover shenanigans sometimes can pay off, but that would have been a huge sequence break because there would have been a lot we could have found there, but without a doubt we need that hook shot, and I can imagine that it's somewhere close. That's a great connector though. So the back of Hookshot Cave takes us over to East Death Mountain. That's actually really nice. And that is even better, because now we have the Swamp Palace ability open. So once we find Flippers, Swamp Palace is going to be open to us. So the dam is one of those places that if you don't find it early, it starts getting further and further away and becomes more of a pain, because there's an item that's locked behind it in the sunken chest, as well as Swamp Palace is completely shut off to you. You cannot go into Swamp Palace at all without using that dam. Now, it stays in this state. It will not reset itself once he leaves. So there is no worry about screen transition because of its entrance shuffle.
Yeah, and also, I mean, since you know that it will end up staying, you're going to end up, hitting that switch the first time you come across this, no matter what. I mean, unless for some reason you can't do so. So it's only a one-time deal. You'll never be coming back to that entrance.
Exactly. So if you found it in your bunny state, that would be really unfortunate, because again, screen transitions. Oh no, they picked it up for the heart. I was like, wait, they accidentally picked that up.
I mean, we definitely don't want to see him miss that one single arrow.
Yeah, I know. It's the our knowledge versus, oh no, I didn't check it knowledge, because how many times as runners have we went through, died on a really bad spot, and then found out we needed to go there anyway? Yeah, that's rough.
Too many times to count. It looks like we got a Desert Palace entrance here for Dark Shadows. I didn't see where he entered from, though.
I did not. It's definitely East Death Mountain. I think it was the Paradox Cave upper/down bottom one.
Nice. Okay.
So Desert Palace front is a very interesting thing to find, especially at this point. What it means for us is Desert Palace is a 3-entrance place. You can access all 3 entrances, even in Bunny State, and it is a awesome place to find. So he can end up in a lot of really good spots. Now, the thing about Desert Palace is there is a single key out there somewhere that the right side has 2 checks. So you got to remember that, as well as the big key chest too. So there's 3 other items that are going to be in here at some point.
Now, if I'm remembering this correctly, in this particular entrance shuffle setting, we're going to find the other desert entrances somewhere nearby, right?
It's cross world. So there's not going to be nearby. It's going to be anywhere. Like, Kingstoon.
Ah, okay. So then this is the great connector, the great communicator of sorts between different doorways and portals.
Exactly. This is one of the ones that you're going to use probably often to get places. Before you find flute and things like that. Crossworld will take it anywhere. It's the simple shuffle that will require it to be in certain spots, like desert would have to be in turtle rock spots and stuff like that. Ganon's Tower. So that's actually really, really good to find. You can't read the sign. No bunny
that is
signs.
the most frustrating moment I have to imagine. Hey, I finally found it, except I can't read it.
Yeah, pretty much. But word from the developer is VT has been working pretty hard on trying to figure that out, making bunnies readable, are able to read. So
attempting to break and unbreak the bunny state. I don't envy that.
No, everything that I've heard, and like I drop into VTorp's stream every once in a while. It's something else, man. Something else. Is this?
I believe the Dark World cave there was the old man cave.
Is it? Where did they just go? Because like I saw the.
It was the far west cave in the Dark Death Mountain.
Oh wow. Okay, nice. Fire Rod on Old Man. That is a really good find. So we did find Hera, and both of these runners were actually practicing Hera Pot before the stream actually got underway. You could see it just as we were coming in and doing this. The crazy thing about that is we have not found the hookshot yet, so Hera Pot is not possible. That is a recent, I guess, glitch or I don't know, out of bounds tech that you found.
I just call it a hookshot clip.
Yeah, it's a hookshot clip where you can get to a certain pixel or clip into the pot right by the room in Hera that goes down to the coffee break room and basically drop down it like you would have from the very top and use the fairy room to get to the top of Hera. So it's very useful.
Yeah, so I mean, despite the enemies that have been kind of in our way, that's something that, runners may end up trying to consider. They don't have necessarily a bunch of different ways to mitigate that damage, but and then the setup's kind of demanding, but being that this is a cross keys enemizer, you may want to be able to do that without the big key.
Yes, that is a huge sequence break of sorts that will get you a leg up. That is Ganon's Tower. I didn't see where he found that. That was definitely on Death Mountain. That's a huge find. We can check at least 7 checks, if I'm not mistaken. So you've got Hope Room, and they can do. No, excuse me. We don't have Hammer, so we can check.
We can climb the tower.
Yeah, we can at least go. Well, we don't have the. Oh, we did find the GT Big Key. That's right. So we can climb the tower.
We can go all the way to the top.
And do Aga 2. Ew. That sounds like a terrible idea.
I mean, we have the fire rod for the torches.
Ooh, yuck. Yeah, and it's kind of low loadout, man. We are green mail only 4, 5, 7 hearts. Oh, did he forget that he had the big key? Or maybe just like, I ain't doing this right now.
Maybe he doesn't want to do that right now.
Maybe entrances. Okay, I kind of understand that. Maybe not wanting to do it at this very moment. Hey, look, the other thing that has an Aga in it.
Well, what a development. I just jumped off the ledge to get that one in the cave entrance.
Yeah, so Ganon's Tower was in Spectacle Rock, and Aga was in the Spec Rock exit. So Spectacle Rock has 3 entrances. It's got the exit in which you drop down to the hole where the item's at. It's got the entrance where you can go peek at the item. That's Meyer on the left side on Dawnvenure's over in the library. And then it's also got the actual drop down entrance to get to the item. So that is a real find there, because we also know that AGA 1 may be required because there could be a lot of good items. If we find Lamp somewhere early, coming up, oh, they're not going up GT. The Lamp could be up there. And that would mean AGA 1 would be 100% in logic. And that would give us a, quite a few checks. So
the AGA 2, AGA 1 sequence.
Yeah.
Well, in one of the, what I can only describe is the cruel, twisted fate and what we expect from this randomizer. There is a sword at the race game, and for those of you who aren't familiar with these entrance randomizers, I mean, there is a way to get there logically. It might just be tucked underneath like 17,000 other things, and honestly, your only really reliable way of getting that is to mirror over to the race game. So we'll see if we end up getting that sword.
Yeah, it's not only the most reliable way to get to that, it's the only way without cheating. There are clips you can do to get to that item, as far as overall glitches clips are concerned, but in this setting, that's the only way you can get there is with a mirror at the big. So,
well, can't you get the back entrance, for the actual entrance to the race game as one of the regular entrances?
Good call. You can. I mean, if there's a connector there. It's a very slim chance that a connector actually leads there. So,
yeah, it's like, I mean, and the logic does account for you mirroring to get there too. So, I mean, like, that is something that both of these runners are hopefully aware of, being that that's a pretty important weapon upgrade. But, yeah, I mean, you're generally speaking almost always going to use a mirror to get to that point.
My people need me.
Red guard.
Somebody report that red guard. That red guard is cheating and hovering right across that hole to the other.
I hear the council wants to summon him on that one for an investigation.
That was pretty amusing.
Mr. Usain Bolt out of place right now. Needs to get tested for doping.
That's great. Using the fairy revival, accidentally getting lasered to the face, but we did pick up a fairy in a bottle. Gonna have the ability to jump right back out with some iframes. Going to take this top entrance so that way if if they fall. Oh, clever. So using iframes to their advantage, they are going to check these next two instead of having to try to do any kind of clip. That's very clever. I actually appreciate that. Now, this is not in logic right now. Everything that DarkShadows is doing right now is not in logic, unless the third shield is found by Dawnvenure, or DarkShadows finds a third shield, or they have some sort of invincibility in the form of Cape or Cane of Burn. So,
well, there was an interesting find here in Turtle Rock. DarkShadows finding the big key for Palace of Darkness that Dawnvenure is currently at.
Okay, so I'm learning something about version 31. Forgive me. That is a in logic thing now. So, all right. This commentator is stuck in old version logic.
Yeah, honestly, with all the things going on in this race, I think it's pretty reasonable.
You got Hammer. That is a big find. That was in pod, nonetheless, too. That's so French vanilla Hammer. That's wicked. That's a good find.
Yeah, and finding it without the big key that DarkShadows currently has. So that's another thing that's kind of paying off right now. Normally that check would be really annoying to leave behind, but at least you get the hammer out of it the first time. You expect some double dips, but at least getting something nice out of it's a good feeling.
Yeah, one big thing that sorry to cut you off. One big thing that would really be bad here, though, is if they try to do any kind of sequence break in the form of having that big key for DarkShadows, then you have to fight all those enemies in the basement going towards going towards the boss. So that would be unfortunate. But Dawnvenure, you're taking a death, getting anti-fairy, trying to do the hammer yump.
That is the ultimate troll. Oh my goodness. You're about to do something real precise, 2 pixel perfect placements in a very small window. Let me just ruin your entire world.
Randomizer and pod just don't mix, in my opinion, because every single time it seems like I play Randomizer and go into pod, there's always one of the big spikes on that bridge every single time. It
I mean, I
loves to
would
do
say
that.
they mix, they blend, but kind of like ketchup and like coffee beans.
Ketchup and coffee beans, yes. That's about how well everything mixes. And looky there, we have our Dark World traveling orb in our hands now. Or do they put it on their head to travel through? Is that how it works? I guess that gives them the
In your pocket?
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess as long as it's just on you get changed from Bunny. So
Is it like a gym leader badge from Pokemon, maybe? I mean, for all the things going on in this, it may as well be.
yeah,
All right,
really.
so just to briefly touch on how we're getting that Moon Pearl, since we saw it in Dark Shadows, but not for Dawnvenure. That Eastern Palace entrance was in Lake Hylia fortune teller shop. So that is relatively accessible, although there are lots of reasons to not be heading there right away.
A lot of connectors, a lot of things like that. Here is the major downfall of a lot of runners, and this commentator is no exception in any kind of cross world.
I'm going to say I am no exception either.
Yeah, you find a connector and you have to immediately assess, do I take this and go on a wild goose chase, or do I keep checking entrances where I'm at? And Kakariko is notorious for being a butt. It is awful. So you find a connector, you go on a trip. You find a connector, you go on a trip. It is one of the worst experiences if you just make the wrong decision and keep going all over the place. Now, this is in logic. I do know what Dark Shadows is doing right now. Going to the back of Eastern with the Fire Rod is in logic. However, I do not think that Fire Rod is in logic because they did a dark room that they would need the lamp for otherwise.
Yeah, so until we figure out where that lamp is, that question will be up in the air, really. And of course, we're finding other information as well. Dawnvenure, having followed the Turtle Rock entrance, actually followed it all the way to the outside. And Turtle Rock left ended up being Sahazrala. So if we end up getting that green pendant, or even if we say Dawnvenure gets the Moon Pearl here, we'll have the option to go back for those 3 items, potentially 4 if we get that green.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big find. So this is vanilla. We do not know the state of the boss shuffle. So as of right now, we know it's Randomizer, but we don't know if it is going to be a simple boss shuffle, where it's going to be all the bosses one time, and 3 of them are going to be twice, and it's not going to be chaos, or if it's going to be chaos and we have nothing but Armos Knights the entire time. So
yeah, so speaking to the boss shuffle weights here in Mystery Week, there is a 70% chance of any given seed having no shuffle for the boss at all. The other 3 settings, 10% each.
Yeah, so it's heavily weighted to be just vanilla bosses. And
which,
it was
given what we're seeing now, I think that makes sense.
It does. Considering that we just saw Armos Knights, like, just seeing one boss doesn't exactly help. So we're kind of waiting on that. But, we haven't said it quite yet. Both of these runners are definitely putting up with a heck of a seed, having to go through Crossworld Key Sanity a little bit earlier than they probably planned on, considering that's also coming up next week. So give these runners a follow. They definitely deserve it. You got Dawnvenure with the What Are You Doing in My Swamp Palace, and DarkShadows59 from Beard Force 1. So
yeah, I don't envy either of their positions right now. I would say that between the 2 of them currently, Dark Shadows does have the advantage of having picked up that Moon Pearl first, so some traversal a little easier, but this is super early on within this format to really try and project who's got a strong advantage. They're both just doing what they can to check the world around them.
Exactly. And in all honesty, as far as like even items go, you could argue that Dawnvenure's about to get their are they? I'm not sure which dark room they're in.
It looks like Eastern Palace, yeah.
Eastern, yeah, okay. I kind of blanked out that they were in Eastern still. So the fire rod is a leg up for Dark Shadows that makes a lot of these the dark room traversals very easy, because most dark rooms have a lamp that you can light and see better, where the hammer is just a huge fine period. Like that's a lot of traversal and just a bigger damage. Like you have the tempered sword damage at your wrist, at your disposal rather, and that helps. So
Yeah.
now neither of us.
It'll be a while before we get the actual tempered.
And the thing too is, Dawnvenure also found a glove. That's big. So that's another thing. That's going to be a quick dark world jump over. They can actually get into the dark world now without any bunny problems over right by Link's house. And Link's house is always vanilla. So.
Well, it is remarkable just how many times you find yourself, in a situation where you need a glove to escape a certain sequence. Otherwise you wouldn't think about it because you usually need a glove to get to a place. But there's a Waterfall Cave for Dark Shadows, which is that glove. We'll end up getting an empty bottle back, unfortunately.
Money saved indeed.
Hey, if you don't spend any.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, money not spent is money saved. Now, I'm chat, you'll need to help me out here. I didn't see where Dawnvenure got their glove. Is that the same glove that Dawnvenure got that Dark Shadows got?
Truthfully thinking about it, I'm not sure. I think we saw it from Dawnvenure, the Ice Rod Cave area. So it looks like we're getting confirmation from chat as well.
Yeah, our tracker once again coming in strong, being the legend that they are. Ricardo telling us that both have the same glove. That is very, very helpful. I don't know if did the runners check the back of Tavern, because there's one interesting thing about entrance. Here it is. Okay, so entrance shuffle. That's where the shield's at. Okay, I was like, entrance shuffle has a very interesting thing where the only entrance that will not get shuffled is the back of Tavern. And the reason behind that is it is the only entrance you walk in the back. That's it. That's the only entrance that faces north. So you have an item there. There's something there. So there have been plenty of times that runners have left that by mistake, and there's been something huge there. So.
Yeah, that's good reference information, because I truthfully did not know that. I don't play a whole lot of cross keys, which is not great for my next week prospects, honestly. But, ooh, wow, ouch, Dawn. So we're trying some laser bridge skips here, but the guaranteed one item there for back at Tavern, that's a great reference point for later.
Exactly, and that's something too that a lot of people can forget, that if they check the back of Tavern, they kind of forget about the front of Tavern. The front of Tavern is randomized, so it's one big building. The back's not, the front is. So you got to remember to check both, one for the item in the back, and then there you go. So.
Alrighty, well, I do not fault Dawnvenure for going after these laser bridge skips, despite the fact that they are instant death. However, probably going to at least get one more heart before doing it again.
Yeah, and there was I want to say a big key there that's definitely useful, but not anything that we really need at this exact moment. Until we find, I think it might have been the, no, it wasn't that one. I'm not sure which one it was, to be honest with you. Maybe the pod big key? Was it the pod big key that was there?
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah. Because that's the one that Dark Shadows has that Dawnvenure does not.
Alrighty, well, we've seen where Sahasrahla actually is, but his hut here in the Light World just going to give us a small key to Skull Woods, which we definitely need at least one. Good to find that one, since there's a guaranteed other.
And there's the basement key to Hera. We did see that over on... Oh no, Dark. They saved and quit, but that might be okay. I don't know if that entrance was very far off. I think... Or are they just not going? They're not going back there.
Well, it was Kakariko Potion Shop, so that should be pretty easy to get back to.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I feel better about that now. I feel better.
I was very concerned for the same reasons, because, like, as you mentioned, when you are 7 entrances deep in connectors, it can be very frustrating to try and either A, remember how you got there, and B, just to get back there. So worked out, just kind of scary.
Okay, and this connector is going to force them back. So hopefully they go back in. Their small key situation is a problem. They might not be able to get further in. That's the problem. They can't go further. So we do not have small keys on Dark Shadows in. So that is why they're leaving. They cannot go further and get that hammer. They're waiting for pod small keys. So yeah, you need 2 to get to the back. You need 1 to go into the front. Hey, there's Sick Kid. I don't know if we found him yet. Just a piece of love. Just a little piece of my heart now, baby.
Just break off another little piece of heart, huh? Well, so despite dated song references, Joplin, we will find out that there is a Sick Kid, of course, outside of the Palace of Darkness area, and we also, of course, from earlier, knew about the South and Eastern Palace being bomb shop. So we didn't see Dawnvenure talk to the bomb shop vendor, which would tell us they're 5-6 crystals. That was an interesting choice, maybe just kind of forgot in the moment.
There's one of the pod small keys. So that's hopefully going to be directing Dark back a little bit further into pod. But they need 2. I don't know if there was 1 in the back. I don't know if they found one in one of the locations inside a pod. It's very common in Key Sanity that pod always holds one of its own small keys. It's not anything that's particularly weighted to be that way. It just feels like it always happens. So,
I mean, decent odds of it. There's quite a few items in there. Well, we found there's 110 rupees we just spent on Dawnvenure's side and near-death experiences with the Murdered Actyl to just get a chess game. So, Palace of Darkness, an annoying check to make in the first place. Knowing that you don't got to go back there, probably a good feeling.
And that was the right side of Ice Rod Cave. The easiest way to know which side of Ice Rod Cave the Ice Rod Cave that you are in is when you walk in. If you have to bomb again, you are not in the right spot. You'll see a bombed open door already in order to get to the item in the Ice Rod Cave.
Well, I think you said it right the first time. That was the Ice Rod Cage.
Cage, yeah, it stops you exactly. I guess my stuttering helped, and we know another pendant. So Skull Woods is the blue pendant. Now we can almost assuredly know where everything is at once we talk to Sahasrahla and get our green pendant knowledge, because we did, I believe, talk to the. Did we find the big bomb guy?
Yeah, we found him just south of Eastern Palace.
Okay, so I'm sure they talked to him. I did not catch whether or not which 5-6 was. But even then, 5-6 is only 5 crystals to enter. That's all.
So 5 crystals to enter GT. That's not a ton, and that's just the entrance. We saw the runners get dumped out there. So what was that connected to? I can't remember.
Good question.
Oh, yeah, we'll end up finding that out again, I'm sure. That's something that I'm pretty. Oh, Desert Palace front, apparently the front door.
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, so front door makes a lot of sense. So we're about to get our catfish check. So they might be going back to check Pyramid because they have to come through this way anyway. Getting this check, going back down to check Pyramid. But doing the notable, what's called the Kern jump. There's a runner out there named Kern who discovered a way to do fake flipper from the left side, whether you're in Light World or Dark World, and you hold a bomb and you jump, and it will actually clip you far enough down when you jump into the water if you do it from the right pixel, and you can do your flipper transition. You can do your fake flipper transition. It's actually a really useful skip if you need to get to certain areas, especially in cross-world Key Sanity. So,
Yes, I mean that's a certain position you have to be in and timing for the bomb. So doing both of those things, not exactly easy, but if you've practiced it, I've had the pleasure of working with Kern on other things, and he's definitely made some good tutorials on water traversal in general, worth looking at.
Yeah, Kern's tutorials, I don't mind shouting out a runner like Kern. They are very good with the overall traversal knowledge of this game and the nuances of this game. They are really good at a lot of the just cool tricks you can do. So Kern's got some very good tutorials out there. Definitely, go check them out without a doubt.
Yeah, so that kind of information and knowledge really paying off in this scenario. When you're able to cross over without the flippers when you're supposed to have them, you have the potential of getting information that your opponent might never see. So we're going to need 6 crystals today to beat Ganon. And the entrance is not open, so it is not a fast Ganon seed, I don't think.
Yeah, that is correct. So we do know that now. That's the thing. The Ganon drop is also an entrance. So that is, I believe, we've seen all the drop downs. I think it's the fairy entrance.
No, we saw it over by Magic Batcave for Ganon.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the actual Ganon drop, the vanilla Ganon drop, I think is the fairy.
Oh, you've excluded by excluding which ones are left.
Okay, so chat's thinking that it might be Lumberjack. I do not remember seeing. Okay, we saw Useless Fairy. All right, so yeah, we have not seen Lumberjack. So Lumberjack is behind Aga, which, go figure. Aga's blocking Lumberjack once again.
Yeah, just a more roundabout way this time. Alright, well, we'll get left side GT out of Dawnvenure here. Definitely a lot of items to get here.
Yeah, they're going to have to do the bomb jumps for the left side. There's a couple of bonks you can do. I think, well, can't you bonk to get all the way down to that?
You can definitely do this room with just bonks. It's kind of the old school all dungeon strat.
Yeah. All the bonks. Fantasy folks are groaning. More bonks.
Mystery Week might be kind of hard to sort out.
Quake TR. We did find Quake, so we have the actual key to Turtle Rock. Now, what entrance that is, and we do need the mitts to actually get to that. So, kind of clearing up a couple of checks that Dawnvenure's already done on Dark Shadow side, but we are getting new knowledge about some sequence broken items over here. So we're gonna get with one. Well, they need health.
Yeah, knowing that this Randomizer is actually a pretty scary place to be. I'll tell you what, though, having 4 potions, or 4 bottles, definitely a good feeling. That's Dawnvenure's only actual potion, but yeah, it's definitely a boon towards being a little safer.
Yeah, and we found the bug net. I'm pretty sure both of them have the bug net, so they'll be able to do a lot of fairy stuff. And Randomizer, let's be honest, using fairies, there's no shame in that.
Yeah, normally in Rando, you're kind of like avoiding certain safeties. In Randomizer Crossworld, you probably want like every single one you can get. At least we don't believe it's any kind of difficult weapon set or item set, as it appears that we've found quite a few hearts, and we know there's a tempered sword out there.
Yeah, that's the major thing that I can say is we found a tempered sword. We saw a tempered sword, so that is without a doubt a lower setting on the difficulty as far as that goes. Now, as far as Big Key of Turtle Rock, that's a interesting find in Rando Room.
Commentator instincts really betrayed me there. Number 13.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's old school thoughts. I'm pretty sure you've been around quite a long time too, with the Link to the Past community.
You'd think I had a cane at this point for the way I walk, for having been around so long. I'm turning into the old man.
That's the funny thing is that I feel like you and I are having the same problem where it's like our knowledge is going back to old versions, and it's one of those things where it's easy to forget that this is so well done to the point that they've changed so much to allow us to have this honestly fantastic setup. So we're gonna see if it's okay. So I am confident in saying it is no boss shuffle. Seeing Armos Knights in both of their vanilla locations, and we found the ice rod in the Blind's hideout. That is a huge find. Dawnvenure was here, but without the mirror. Wow, Blind's hut is loaded.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how we got here. It was accessible pretty early, as we did see it quite early on. So left side of the East Dark Death Mountain. Okay.
So saving and quitting and going to Old Man actually takes you to this location. So I think this is actually in logic just based on the location that it's in and that you can get there otherwise. But taking Old Man to the vanilla entrance gave you the save and quit to go to Dark Death Mountain, and there you go. So the lamp is the key here to put this all back in logic. But let's face it, in cross-world key sanity, who cares about logic? You kind of
break it quickly.
Yeah, you kind of throw that out of the. You kind of throw the book out at that point. You're just like, nah. Who needs it, man? Who needs it?
So that mirror acquisition, pretty critical. There's a lot of things that you can do now, or at least do more efficiently. So we'll see Dark Shadows check, most of the Death Mountain area a little more efficiently. We'll be able to kind of figure out what's going on here. We get a Castle Tower key, so Tower of Hera entrance here. I don't believe we've seen that, so that's going to be the Mire Shack. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Dark Shadows with one more key consider the Castle Tower climb.
Yeah, at least getting the two checks up, because this they found this entrance. Did they check this first one? I don't remember if they went in and checked this one. I don't see why they wouldn't have, but being able to check that second chest is very valuable. And it's in logic. Well, in logic with the fire rod. We are out of logic with the fire rod. Yeah, sue me later, chat. Sue me later. But he's going to that right now. So
yeah, so there's two items that he can grab here from the Castle Tower. We just saw Dawnvenure finish up the first one. You would still need another key in order to actually, go all the way to Aghanim, which I believe we've established is likely necessary.
Likely, considering there's a lot of items that we're still missing. Aga 2 is not Aga 2, excuse me. The Aga 1 climb is probably going to be needed because that is so you're probably going to need to do that. But the entirety of this thing is not in logic. That's the thing with the fire rod, because there's not lamps throughout the entire climb. But the lamp is somewhere out there. The problem is it literally could be anywhere. And I can guarantee you what we just saw right there was that was Dark Shadows pulling up a dark map, the dark room map, to be able to find out where he's going. So Ice Palace is our green pendant. So we know all of our crystals now. We do not know if it is, at least from what we have on screen, we're not aware of what our 5-6 crystals are. I'm pretty sure we talked to the bomb guy, but I mean, that's easy to miss by notes. So
yeah, well, we did. We did not check them.
Okay, so yeah, again, you know what? I will never question you again, Reg.
However, we did get both items from the Castle Tower climb, so Dark Shadows, having found that, is going to nope out of there. with the mirror in hand, can start doing a lot more exhaustive overworld checks for entrances.
Yes, without a doubt. There's a lot of things that are going to happen now with that. If we find the connector to the mire area, that gives you access to 2 more checks as far as entrances are concerned, in the form of mirroring into the desert ledge, as well as there's just so many connections with the mirror that you can do. So,
well, with the small key in hand, Dark Shadows here going to head into Tower of Hera. Considering a Hera pod? No. You can't do that without the hook shot.
Yeah, you have to have the hook shot. So just getting this check out of the way, I cannot blame them at all. This could be the hook shot, in all honesty. It's not going to be the lamp. That's the one thing for sure I can say. This cannot be the.
Well, speaking of lamplessness, Dawnvenure heading to the back of Eastern Palace for the second attempt. As before we got hecked up a little bit, we'll be able to kill the Armos Knights and then acquire the first pendant. That'd be the first boss kill nearly an hour in for Dawnvenure.
Which it's not even a crystal. We haven't even gotten a crystal kill. Oh man. We have the ability. The funny thing is, we have the ability to beat the second to last boss in the game right now. We have the ability to do that, but we really we're kind of like, do we have the ability to get a crystal right now? Looking at this, we don't have the Thieves Town big key. We have the Mire big key. We know where Mire's at. We don't have the necessary item to clear Mire. We don't know where the back of Desert is. If we don't know where the back of Skullwoods is a pendant. Good lord. We can't beat anything. We're still looking for items, folks.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that once we find this lamp, things are going to come a little bit more clearly. We might have a better sense of how in the world we were supposed to do things. As that seems to be one of the major gatekeepers in terms of how the game logically expects us to progress. We do find flippers here at the top of Tower of Hera. That's a great find for Dark Shadows. Makes some more overworld checks reasonable.
And at this point, I don't know if that was hidden logic, because I don't know what was required for that key. Oh, taking a fall, unfortunately, going back down 2 rooms. Back to the beginning. You must go back to where you started.
Yeah, we did not pass go. He did not collect 200 rupees. A nice rupee count, though, of 1,234. I like to see that kind of thing.
Yes, number nerds. Sorry, go ahead and continue your thought. I did not mean to cut you off for that.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just joking around that Dawnvenure needs 10 more rupees to make another funny count.
Oh yeah, well, one. Well, right now they're in binary, I guess. If you really want to go that route.
That's not how you do Morse for send help, right?
Yeah, right. That's definitely not SOS in this world. So Dark Shadows deciding not to try to do that bomb jump again. I cannot blame them. You don't want to spend too much time trying to do that bomb jump and falling back down over and over again. And you hate to see it. There's a map. So we have that.
It was Ice Palace. It was Green Pendant, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We already have that knowledge from Sahasrara. So, but we are gonna go face the infamous Muldorm.
I felt Dark Shadow's movement there on a spiritual level as he paused right in front of the bumper, said, "You know what? I've already fallen twice here. I'm just gonna do it normal."
We have the one-eyed Muldorm. I saw this the other day and I couldn't stop laughing. Did you see that?
All things considered, for having one eye, his depth perception pretty amazing.
So apparently, if you bounce off the head, it will make the second eye appear. That was really, really crazy. I didn't see that. That's interesting. So crystal number 1 at 10222. More number shenanigans. With Tower of Hera going down, that's a very, very well done job. never having to go back into Hera again.
Yeah,
We
we
are
can
done
leave
with that
behind
shit.
the nightmare of Unidorm behind.
Yeah, Unidorm. I love it. That is an awesome name, Unidorm.
Well, so that's out of there for Dark Shadows, as we see a very scary looking Stalfos room and Gibdos room out of Dawnvenure here in Skull Woods. Not taking any damage, just scary for the fact that, oh my gosh, why are these enemies here? Yo, a sexy statue for a moment there. You don't see that in Skull Woods very often.
No, you don't. That is actually very well done. The movement Dawnvenure's is doing, I feel like, as Dawnvenure has had a few missteps with the Randomizer setting going on, they seem to be getting more focused. And there's a mushroom at the under the bridge gentleman there, Hobo. So that is something that I can see a we don't know where Witch's Hut is at, do we? We don't know where the potion shop is, do we?
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing it.
Covered that information yet, but on the bright side, we can at least get over there to like turn in the mushroom. As for gathering the item, that's another story completely.
Yeah, I would probably wait on doing that. Mainly because if I find the cane, you know, once you find the actual hut, then you can make good use of it. I don't know. It's kind of a catch-22 because if you find it and you've already turned it in, you can just grab the item and forget it. If it's in a bad spot, you're good. But if you keep it, you can sequence break Magic Bat, which is available to us. So that's one of those things where you can sequence break it and turn it in and end up using that to your.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough choice to make. Personally, I think I'm more likely to turn it in, but like I think both options are genuinely valid choices. All right, I did not expect to find an aquatic Hinox or two here in Zora's domain. They're really upping their security protocols.
This is already a check that a lot of people hate to do in the normal randomizer and just open or standard or whatever. And it's no different. In fact, I'd call it worse in Randomizer because the lag in that area can get so bad, especially if you pop a couple of those enemy balloons. You're crawling. It's so bad.
Yeah, if you thought Vanilla Thieves Town lobby was bad, like it only goes downhill.
Exactly. It's oh man, it's so bad, and in that spot, it's one of the worst.
So as I understand it, Skull Woods here is an exception to the norm when it comes to shuffling entrances, right?
It is. So the fall downs and everything in Skullwood are they're going to be Skullwoods. Now it's going to connect you to the back of Skullwood's entrance in some way, shape, or form. Now, considering how the entrance shuffle can work, it can technically soft lock you back there if you don't have the mirror or it's not a connector. So that is completely possible. So Dark Shadows is getting one of the very unique checks out of the way. And it is the shield shop. It's the curiosity shop. So that is that's a find. Now, Dark World, if he goes down and goes up, he's going to have the ability to check Swamp Palace. That's where he's headed right now. So we're literally getting a virtual high five here. That's big. So they have the flippers. They found the flippers. That timing is huge. But they find out that the small key to Swamp Palace is not there. They need that in order to be able to get any further. That is a well-known thing. Oh right, they don't have hammer. I thought they had hammer because Dawnvenure did.
No, that being said, though, like with missing the hammer, you would still be able to check the first chest. So I mean, like not the one that he already checked, but the one after that in the Bomble Wall. So if we had that small key, he would have been able to at least get one more.
Exactly. The small key is the just it becomes another Ganon's Tower big key almost because of how much it can lock, and it's the big thing that lets you into Swamp. It's not just having flippers. So yeah, there's not much that locks that at all. It's like the ice rod, actually. It becomes another ice rod. That's really what I meant to say. Because it could be anywhere with the exception of like just a few checks in Swamp Palace. So we're possibly not going to need that though, in all honesty, because we only need 6 crystals. So that could just be a place that you don't need to go to, but that doesn't say much because you need 6. So that you also would need everything to beat the other 6 places.
Yeah, so I mean, our requirements still kind of unfolding as we speak. We're finding a couple of different one-off checks from these two. Dawnvenure doing what Dark Shadows just did before, which was checking the fortune teller just outside of Village of Outcasts for the graveyard ledge, which ends up being the Thieves' Town Big Key. Yeah, so the shield shop that you mentioned earlier, that's the entrance that you're seeing Dark Shadows leave from. The Curiosity Shop, something you don't frequently see, really in any format except for like this or retro.
Pretty much, yeah, because in retro key sanity, in any key sanity format, you'll well, not key sanity, excuse me, retro key sanity will have a possibility of having keys there. It could be a choose any shop, choose any cave, something to that effect, as well as entrance will obviously be any kind of entrance down there. So Dark Shadows, seeing they have their entrance here, they know where the front goes. The front is vanilla because obviously it had to be because we had a standard start. Now we're going to find out where the left side goes. That's the mire area. That's huge considering they have that mirror. That is absolutely huge for them. Now they do know where the checkerboard cave entrance goes to because they exited out of that earlier out of the Paradox Cave. And it is Quake required for that. So we have both keys to the entrances of Turtle Rock and Mire. So we'll be able to check this entrance while we're here. And that is Spiral Cave. I would bail out of that. Don't check that yet. You've got 3 other entrances you can check.
It's so hard to resist that though, because like you definitely want to get the item, but you know that's probably a one way you can't come back from quickly.
Oh, and if I know anything about this randomizer, there's going to be a sudden and wait, there's more. That's probably going to give him like at least another connector somewhere.
Billy Mays Eternal, new Doom game.
Billy Mays here. Here you go, another connector. What would be really funny though is if one of the if they find Spiral Cave right here, if they find the other Spiral Cave entrance right here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty goofy. Well, there's the Hammer Peg Cave for Dark Shadows at the desert entrance, so not too worried about taking a mirror. All things considered, now a little safer to go check that Spiral Cave. I
would check these other 2 entrances. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. We haven't actually been through the desert proper. So yeah, we'll be checking everything else in the area in the meantime.
And there's the small key to Swamp. Wow, right there on the ledge of desert. That is so... Oh, wow, that's convenient that it's right there because I don't think it's that far away to go to the other side, back to the Mire connector and get back to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, because Swamp is north of Bumper Cave, so it's really not that awful to go back to. Now, of course, we do find out that the vanilla back entrance of Desert Palace is just a fairy fountain. A nice, convenient spot for it, but, we kind of tying off the loose ends for these entrances. Once you've been inside every entrance of the overworld, Crosskey is not as crazy as it seems at surface level. It's just unfolding this mess, the first time through that kind of can trip a lot of people up, myself included.
Yeah, for sure. And basically hitting the jackpot there, not having to worry about the possibility of multiple connectors. Dark Shadow's going to be checking Spiral Cave. Dawnvenure found Ice Palace, deciding to nope out of that and check entrances. Basically not wanting to touch it. Can't do the icebreaker clip, the recently allowed clip that basically makes the bomb jump useless. So
that Ice Palace was at Hype Cave?
No, that Ice Palace was actually at the Vanilla Bomb Shop.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we have half magic now. That's actually very useful considering we're still rocking a Master Sword, and this is Randomizer, so we are going to be able to use Fire Rod a lot more liberally than we would normally. So that's very helpful. Right now, if I had to give you some sort of assessment of what runners need to do, Dark Shadows without a doubt needs to get back to pod, get their hammer. That's going to open up a lot of options for them. Dawnvenure really needs to get to get back over to Blind's Hut to get the mirror. That's going to open up a lot for them. There was a lot of stuff over there. There was the mirror as well as the flip. Well, the flippers were actually in Hera, so they do not have the Hera Big Key. But I think the Hera Big Key might have been in the whatchamacallit, the Blind's Hut. So
that's honestly about 4 steps removed from what I can remember at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. Oh my lord. And I like there's so much information on both sides here. But it's definitely getting the mirror that's the big thing. Following the keys as well is just kind of it's another step and another depth that's just difficult. So
I will agree though that the main things that these runners are looking for, mirror and hammer respectively, left or right on these screens. Now we will of course eventually need that Cane of Samaria, as that's going to be an important component for doing things. I believe that
100%. Yeah, six. Yeah, so you're gonna need it without a doubt. So you can't skip over Mire or Turtle Rock. You're gonna have to do one or the other. Now, whether or not you're gonna need Ice Rod, you could probably skip Turtle Rock. But that means we're gonna need Hook Shot anyway.
So Cane of Samaria and Hookshot at the bare minimum are what we're looking for as far as overall progression goes. So given the format and how wacky this honestly is, this might not even be that long of a seed.
Yeah, we found a generous amount of dungeons. I will say that. I'm pretty sure. So we haven't found the Back of Desert yet, which is a crystal. We found Thieves Town. We have the Thieves Town Big Key, so we can do that. We found Mire. We have found Turtle Rock entrances, so we can get through Turtle Rock once we find the cane. We have found Pod, and we can do shenanigans to get through Pod. Really, just basically finding the keys is what we need. So keys are still a huge part of Go mode. So we found the small key to Swamp Palace, which is just absolutely, it's awful not to find that if you have to go through Swamp Palace. So hey, look, you can't do this. you can't get through there. You need the hammer.
It's a bad feeling. But I mean, we do have GT access. We've seen the left side from was that Dark Shadows or Dawnvenure? I can't remember at this point.
That was Dawnvenure that we saw the left side from, and really there wasn't much found over there. I think maybe a safety or something like that. Just that's about it.
Yeah, so we could have an awkward situation where like a Cane of Samaria somewhere could lead us to a hook shot at the top of the tower, or on the right side. I mean, we wouldn't need a Cane of Samaria for top of the tower, but yeah, lots of weird things can still happen here. And there's not a clear leader emerging from this just yet.
Exactly. This is still anybody's game. It's coming down to really who's going to make the check, because they have the knowledge. They've both been to and have seen the entrances. So whether or not they actually have the knowledge is a whole nother aspect, because frankly, it's based on their notes, and we don't see their notes. So Ether, that's a find. I don't think that's useful. It's definitely a medallion. We don't need it. Quake is the opener for both the entrances of Turtle Rock and Mire. So this is Crossworld, Key Sanity, Randomizer, not Boss Shuffle, and it was a standard open. So if you're just joining us, those are a few of your settings right now. It's looking like it's going to be some sort of maybe hard logic. We do know that there's a sword. I do not remember where it was at. Chad, if you could help me with that, those of you who have been here with us.
The third sword that we had was on the race game, so we have access to it actually for Dark Shadows. Dawnvenure was in the area, did not have mirror.
Yes, so we do have access to that race game, which he's in the area for right now. So he's doing a couple of checks. Finding the bomb farm, that's actually... I like finding that in one of my opening checks, just because, you know, there's so many bombs locations. So we're probably going to end up getting our third sword almost at like an hour 20 in. So
yeah, I would expect Dark Shadows to be doing that post haste, like probably the very next thing after Dig game.
That sounds about right, Reg. Something like Eastern Palace or something like that. It was relatively early, so.
Alrighty, well here's Blind Fight for Dawnvenure. Having pretty much cleared out all of Thieves Town here, with the exception of one other check, which I think we might have been able to exclude. Oh no, it's Key Sanity. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on here.
So we don't have that small key that, honestly, I think in Key Sanity, in this method, in Key Sanity, it could be on the boss. Because in Key Sanity, it does not require. Dark Shadows writing us a message saying, hi, everybody wave at Dark Shadows.
Hello, Dark Shadows. Alright, well, that is a crystal for Dawnvenure. That is the second crystal? No, first crystal.
That is first for... Yeah, that's first for Dawn. Dark Shadows cleared Tower of Hera, getting their flippers there. Thieves Town, relatively useless, honestly. Other than the fact that we might have to go back there and check that that key location. But we're about to get our final sword, and we're going to check another entrance. So this is actually pretty useful information, which, well, there you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a useless entrance.
I was a little surprised he didn't grab the health refill. I mean, you may as well. You're already there.
He might even save and quit after this, so it might not even matter.
Good point, good point. Well, we're getting a deep rock dive here out of Dawnvenure. Does not have the ice rod, which is unfortunate, because we found that relatively early on Dark Shadow's side. But we will be able to get a reverse check of the dungeon. We have a lot of keys, so not having the mirror makes it probably a death warp to get back here.
Yeah, so the ice rod was actually also in Blind's Hut. So it wasn't extremely early, but it was definitely the order in which it was checked. Blind's Hut was found on Dawnvenure's side early, but no Moon Pearl. The Moon Pearl was in Eastern Palace, a big chest. So Dark Shadows had found their Moon Pearl and found the entrance of Blind's Hut while they had the ability to check it in Dark Death Mountain. So yeah, I hope everybody's brain is fried after that. So
I'd stopped processing information about an hour ago.
Yeah, pretty much, and I can't blame you at all. There's been plenty of times, and like, doing commentary for Cross Keys is definitely a new beast. It is so tough, and if you love what you're seeing right now, the Kuchiri is absolutely correct. All next week is going to be Cross Keys. It's going to be a blast. I love this mode. It is so fun to watch. I am awful at it, but boy, do I love watching it, and boy, do I love suffering through it. So
I'm just not looking forward to racing it. These two put on a pretty good display of, keeping their information, straightforward, and they know what's going on. But, it's very easy to get yourself lost in this format. Let alone Randomizer, let alone standard open. That just feels weird. We had an assured sword. I would not have remembered that an hour and a half in, based on what we've seen.
Okay, so funny story. I'm on Beard Force 1 with Dark Shadows. We were doing practice of the Ambrosia Seeds. And we had gotten the Uncle Bomb Pack, the 10 bombs, in the Link's house check. So Link's house was 10 bombs. I go do all the Uncle checks and things like that. I forgot it was a assured sword. I was doing bomb escape. And I'm like, man, well, I was like, man, my bomb escape is going so good. And he goes, why are you doing bomb escape? I'm like, what? He's like, we started with a sword. I was like, oh no. I had basically done like half of escape with bombs and felt so dumb. So that was probably Dark Shadows taking a moment to figure out where they want to go next. Basically, just considering entrances at this point. You have to put into your mind, what am I going to do next? What's coming next? What is going to be the next best spot to go to? Am I going to check entrances? Am I going to go ahead and go to items? Do I need to find this? Do I need to find that? What are you prioritizing in order to be able to get done what you need to get done?
Yeah, we did see a back of bumper ledge, back of bumper cave out of the Bonk Rocks west of the bomb shop. So that's a little bit of information. We already, I think, checked the front part of that cave previously, so we're still not sure about where the other entrance for it is, but that could be a useful connector.
Just to address something in chat, this is not luck based at all. The mystery side of it, it's gonna be luck based on what you get, but you know the weights. You know what you're going into. So it's not luck based even in the slightest bit of it. It's just a matter of knowing the game.
Yeah, I will say that this is like a knowledge heavy format, so like being able to do cross keys not only, lends on your ability to do low percent, stuff, because you're gonna do low percent stuff, whether you like it or not. It also relies on, how well do you know where things are in the world, because like knowing all of these entrances is something you would normally never have to, consider, but you might just have to go to Dark Ice Rod area to get this potion shop, and that's a great find for Dark Shadows. There's traversal that you would not normally consider or even have to like worry about that becomes a legitimate factor in this format.
Yeah, and remember what I said earlier about turning it in and it being in a bad spot? Yeah, there you go. It's exactly what I was considering. Bad location. There it goes. We're trying to get a bomb jump over here on the hammer jump from Dawnvenure. It's again 2 pixel perfect spots. You got to drop the bomb in the right pixel, and then you have to move to the right pixel to be clipped through that bottom section. After you get damaged by the bomb, you have to hold up in order to be able to just go right through and check that. So do they get it on the 3rd try? Just missed it and takes a death.
Yeah, that's tough. You definitely want the hammer jump in a key sanity situation, just because you know that, every key you spend that you don't have to is going to be potentially like dungeons of blocking before you get to it. So it's kind of a significant factor.
And the mirror also coming in use here for 3 more checks. So you go all the way up to the top of pyramid and you hit the mirror button. Guess what? You have 3 checks. You have Vanilla Aga, you have the left side and the right side, where those entrances from escape would usually give you. So, or Hyrule Castle in this instance. Getting our first dip into Mire, and of course, there's a dead rock there.
How many more awkward places can we find dead rocks since last week?
Yeah, please just murder all dead rocks. They don't deserve anything. So there is a bomb jump you can do here. Actually, I think you could
try hovering.
That is definitely an option. Now I know you can do this bonk right here. I guess he's about to try to do that. I think. Yeah. Okay, he's gonna try to do that bonk. Hold left, boom. So that's an interesting little sequence break you can do right there. If you just go all the way to the far left of that and line yourself up with the wall, you can bonk and clip through that little railing and hold left, and you can actually get to the rest of Turtle Rock. So that's something that if you are fighting for entrances and wanting to know where to go and finding a good connector that otherwise isn't there in a cross keys, that's something you can use for a lot of quick traversal. So yeah, and minded me pointing out something that we were mentioning is that there's a lot of skill involved when it comes to cross keys, because it's a lot of things of when am I going to do bunny traversal, when am I going to actually check some of these entrances as a bunny. compared to searching things I have access to, and I'm not going to get locked as a bunny. That is a huge thing. So Swamp Palace and Turtle Rock are the red crystals. That's big. That tells us
one of those easily.
Yeah, so here's the thing about this. That locks another entrance. Now, the thing about that is we cannot do Turtle Rock right now. We can get into Swamp Palace. We cannot complete Swamp Palace. We can't complete either one of those. Now, that's a possibility that it could lock a pretty critical spot like the back of Desert Palace. Now, we have found Ice Palace. We have found Mire. We have found Turtle Rock. We have found Swamp Palace. We have not found the back of Skull Woods, but that's a pendant. And we've not found the back of Desert Palace, which is a crystal. We have found every dungeon with the exception of the back of the 2 dungeons that split. So that's pretty big. Big Key of Skull Woods, relatively useless unless there is something in the big chest. There's only one check that gives us.
Yeah, I believe we already found an item in Skull Woods. Is that what we're basing that off of? Because, I mean, if we haven't found both items, then there could still be the big chest.
Well, Skull Woods, the Skull Woods big key would only open up the big chest. That's it. So, with it being
duh.
Yeah. So with it being key sanity, that's all it is. Bombos, we have all 3 medallions. Now there was Titan's Mitts in Mire, so that is a pretty big find. But unfortunately for Dawnvenure, there's a lot of things they're missing that makes it less of a big find. That gives them a little bit of easier traversal, but not really giving them much access to anything. They can do Turtle Rock entrance now. Yes, they can. Because they don't need mirror for that. They can do Turtle Rock entrance. So now there's a couple of other entrances too that with the mirror that Dark Shadows can do that are really trolly entrances. One of those is the entrances that you purely can't jump down to from the Turtle Rock Bridge. So that is a really trolley spot, as well as everybody's favorite Mimic Cave. So
I mean, that's 3 entrances right there, locked specifically by the item configuration that Dark Shadows has, and there's not necessarily a convenient opportunity to go check those things. I mean, you literally have to remember 1, how to get there, and 2, have a route that brings you over in that direction anyway.
We did see that earlier on Dawnvenure's side. I do remember them being, oh no, missing that opportunity. If you're not fast enough with the dash, you are not going to make that bridge. You either need the hook shot without boots or boots, which you are required to have one of those to get into the dungeon anyway. So, but they are both makeable in that sense. So,
gotta be down with the quickness.
Talking about outdated song references, at least. I mean, all right, you went a little disturbed. I mean, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. I mean, I'm down with both Disturbed and Joplin. I like them both, so
you can't go wrong. Well, gonna get a tactical death warp out of Dawnvenure here to head back to entrance of Misery Mire as we see Dark Shadows doing some Skull Woods traversal. Having not found that big key that was on Dawnvenure's side, we'll be able to do everything except for that big chest. Actually, we don't know where the back is just yet, though.
Yeah, so we don't have access to the back of Skull Woods quite yet, because we don't know where it's at. But really, the only reason why we would need Skull Woods would be if the Cane of Samaria was on pedestal.
Oof,
which
or a Mothula proper.
That as well. Honestly, that is a possibility. That the Cane of Samaria could be on pedestal.
Actually, only word I have for this Zoof.
Actually, it's a possibility that. Ew, really? Why you do this game? You know what else could be on Ped right now?
And probably that hookshot?
Hookshot could be on Ped. So we have the ability to beat all the pendant dungeons with our current loadout, because considering that you do not have to have the Cane of Samaria or anything like that, as long as you have the right amount of keys for Ice Palace, the Cane of Samaria is vanilla, not required. Now, because of the way Key Sanity can work, you don't need the hook shot to complete Ice Palace either. So it can definitely be. So where typically those items may or may not be needed to complete that dungeon in a normal sense, the fact that it is Key Sanity adds that to it. So,
Hey, check it out. We finally found the lamp here in Desert Palace.
oh wow, that's terrific.
At least we have a better idea of how in the world we're gonna, look at which entrances. Which, I mean, these two have done a good job of remembering which dark rooms are which, but it's really hard to tell at a glance.
That's a terrible place for a hotel, by the way. Over there in the Skull Woods back entrance, vanilla back entrance, that's a Hotel Mario, aptly named. Which I know we probably saw that earlier, but I don't know. I just saw it now. So yeah,
place for Turok.
Where was the Dark Desert Palace small key?
That's a good question. I genuinely don't remember that.
Okay, here we go. Dawnvenure is now checking the big check. They're going to get their ice rod. They're going to get their mirror. That's big. That is going to decisively give Dawnvenure a leg up. And an unfortunate, like, I guess you would call it turn of events here. It's coming down to making a dip into a dungeon that has an item that you need for that dungeon. French Vanilla Hammer is just something you don't really plan on, and it's hard to think to go into that dungeon and get that, especially when they did not have the keys to begin with. They have 3 keys now, so they can pretty much full clear that dungeon with a few of the proper skips. Despite they can actually save some keys if they want to do that, but they would believe maybe Harmless Hellway, something like that.
Yeah, it would not be a good feeling. I have to imagine that it won't be too much longer before Dark Shadows is just pounding his head into the wall looking for that hammer. As there are too many places you can go to with the breadcrumb of items that we've had to lead you there first and foremost. You would want to check other things first.
Yeah, for sure. So Dawnvenure did find the ice rod as well as the mirror, which is going to get them sooner or later to their 3rd sword. So that's a big find. We're going to get the Thieves Town check from Dark Shadows. So we're going to be able to get the rest of this done on his end. This is already completed by Dawnvenure, but this will be Dark Shadows' 2nd crystal. So,
I'm just wondering why people are so afraid of GT climb. It's not like it's totally like a 6-7 minute time investment, but there are some chests there.
Yeah, I don't know why I wonder if they forgot they have the GT big key. Or if they're just trying to maybe save it. I don't know. That's screaming to me right now where these runners need to go, because it just feels like that's where our main items are in the form of Cane of Samaria and Hookshot. Like that's a very.
I just recall that we were able to do the climb extremely early in this race, and nobody wants to do it that early. But now that we're kind of like drying up a little bit on places we can actually access, it's starting to feel like it. Exactly.
And really, we found a lot of the simple entrances that have items that give us, simple entrances that have items. Things like well, here we go, another one. Things like chess game and things like that. And silvers are in here. Good lord. That's a good pickup. That's definitely useful. So I don't think this is hard logic. I think there's going to be a 4 swords somewhere out there.
Yeah, opening up that portal surprisingly valuable in this setting. That's a pretty awesome find. Got a armor upgrade at the other side of Hookshot Cave. Unfortunately, that's a really awkward place to get to.
Yeah, Dark Shadows did already grab that one himself. That's actually where you can mirror from when you save and quit and go to old. So that's pretty quick to check in this setting. So,
and with that save and quit, I believe we're gonna see Dawnvenure grab that actually.
Exactly. Man, there's the mirror right there. This is one of the unique spots that you can have, old man. And the funny thing is the entrance being there is actually really, It's such a useful spot to save and quit to, in my opinion, because you can go right to Death Mountain, and check so many entrances really fast. So a sequence break on that was really good. Now we also go ahead.
Yeah, and once we have the mirror, like, we have all of Death Mountain thanks to that save and quit point.
Oh no. Dawnvenure accidentally hitting down and taking a double jump by mistake, trying to check that entrance that was there, but getting unfortunately caught and just holding down a little bit too much. So
you hate to see it. All right, well, as you mentioned before, lots of side caves to check. Now, this is kind of one of those things where that sequence break the Dark Shadows did early on is going to pay off pretty well for him, because a lot of these checks have already been done for simply having the mirror sooner. Dawnvenure also working on a little bit of a sword disadvantage for a little while now, but we'll slowly start to climb back, into the same number of checks. I mean, once you have the mirror, it becomes a lot easier to route everything.
yeah, especially when it comes to things like just, I don't know, the purple chest could also have something too. I'm sitting here thinking about that. The mirror makes it easier to turn in the frog, turn in Smithy. So that is a really useful thing, because you could save and quit and go back to Link's house and do it as well. But that is also something you can do it going and checking K45 and things like that, because they were at the Vanilla Dam location. So,
well, so for those of you tuning in late to the race, you've missed quite a lot of interesting stuff. This is, of course, Week 4 Mystery Seed settings, the weights for which you can actually find in the ALTTPRleague.com rules page. But so this particular seed is a bit of a doozy. Cross keys Randomizer. We had a assured sword and a standard start. Other than that, looks like normal difficulty with normal bosses.
yeah, pretty much. So it's pretty much a preview, but it was a standard start. So it was a mildly different preview from what we're going to be seeing next week.
Yeah, but as best as I understand it, this has been the craziest settings we've seen so far this week. This, of course, being the first day of Week 4. So, Cross Keys Randomizer, this could end up being quite the lengthy campaign. Now, of course, we have seen a couple of crystals on Dark Shadow's side, one on Dawnvenure's. So they are making some progress. As far as the information that we do have, we did find out that GT's entrance, which we've already come out of naturally, is 5 crystals, and Ganon vulnerability is 6. And I don't believe we have a fast Ganon.
We do not. No, the entrance to Ganon was not open. The Ganon Tower entrance actually was the Desert Palace front, so we found that relatively early. So we don't have to worry about that. We did find a silvers behind the Turtle Rock entrance, which we do have access to with Quake, and a glove. The mitts were in Mire. The hammer is in Pod. Dark Shadows right now is going through the thing that makes entrance cross key sanity, crossworld key sanity, blah, 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 cross keys. Interesting is you can actually check quite a bit, and go. I say quite a bit. You can check, I want to say like 3 or 4 checks in Turtle Rock without having the actual cane. So the cane of Samaria could be back here in Turtle Rock. It could actually be in the infamous whatchamacallit room here, which is no longer the Chain Chomp room. But we know it's not. Dawnvenure already checked that, but that's just a note for later. So mind of me making a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that point as well.
Yeah, so we won't necessarily know just because of the decoupled Ganon entrance. As we will have, of course, have entrances and drop downs, that are tied to each other, close nearby to each other. But we don't know yet whether or not, until we get down into the actual boss fight itself, what the actual Ganon requirement is. So there's still a chance we won't need to do the top of GT. We've had access to it for quite a while. Really didn't have a lot of requirements. We had the bow, which we don't technically need an Randomizer seed for that, and early boots, early fire rod. Yeah, it's an interesting setup.
Yeah, the fact that we've gone so long without the hook shot. Now this is going to be good for Dark Shadows. This is going to catch them up a little bit on the respects of getting those mitts. Now that's a big find, and that's going to bring them around to finding a few of the other things, but not really progression. Where the major items we are looking for right now for both of our runners is hookshot and Cane of Samaria. We definitely need both of them in order to finish the seed. So actually, I say hookshot and Cane of Samaria. If we get Cane of Samaria, we can finish Mire, we can finish Turtle Rock. We wouldn't need to finish Swamp Palace. So if it's fast Ganon, you wouldn't need the hookshot. So that is a possibility. So the hookshot may not even be needed.
Certainly would be appreciated at this point, though.
Of course, because I mean that's another 3 checks that is open up in Hookshot Cave that we know where that's at, and that was relatively early too.
Yeah, we saw Dark Shadows grab the first chest, I believe. It might have been Dawnvenure. We saw the first chest of Swamp Palace, but we did not have another small key at the time to, did not have one in the first place to actually check further. So, and without a hammer at the time, Dark Shadows wasn't going to be able to actually get any further than that second chest. There are plenty of items that could be in that dungeon, though. If it ends up being Hookshot somewhere nearby, we might actually end up finding our Samaria there.
Yeah, that is correct. So that was Dark Shadows. They found the Swamp small key on Desert Ledge after they found Swamp. So it was they found the Mire connector to go over to that area too after they had found Mirror. So it worked out in their favor that they were able to do that.
So I'm seeing some discussion about this in chat, and this is something worth pointing out. We did find out very early on in the seed that Aghanim 1 blocks the well, which is not a great feeling as a runner. That's, 5 items that potentially are locked behind the castle tower climb, which is not that hard to get to. It's just a time sink. So that's something still on the table that both runners could do.
And that lamp is all the way in Desert Palace, right side, behind the Desert Palace small key, which we have now. Dark Shadows found it. So apparently it was in Mire, I'm guessing. So
what, the small
So
key?
yeah, that's the small key to Desert Palace, yes, which had the lamp to make Aga a lot easier. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Going for the chicken clip. It's in the wall.
All right, well, shout out to our tracker Reg today, keeping us straight and narrow on this stuff. Actually, turns out the small key was in Skullwoods, but our runners have covered each other's tracks pretty well at this point. And goodness gracious, how does anybody even remember this stuff? Reg, you're a machine. Alrighty, there's the back of. Go for it.
I was gonna say, you know what I'll say? I'll say, hey, it was in a dungeon at least.
Yeah, we've established at least that much. Well, we did end up finding the back of Desert Palace at the Ice Palace entrance. So that is one of the components that we weren't sure about. Of course, we will still need the Desert Palace big key in order to actually finish that crystal, but if we just find that, that's definitely a much easier crystal than others that are available to us.
For sure. And that's definitely a great find, which now Dark Shadows has access to as well. The thing that we need is Dark Shadows to get back to Pod, which is in the Kakariko Bomb Shop, which that's pretty big. I'm not sure where Dark Shadows is going right now.
Yeah, he's gonna poke his head into the Skullwoods, it looks like.
The big key. Okay, apparently that's a kind of a sign on Dark Shadows in that they're desperation checking certain things. That's a weird thing whenever you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go check this. Maybe it's here. They're wanting their hammer. I can feel it from here. They're wanting their hammer.
Yeah, this is very much something that you don't want to do in ordinary circumstances, and actually in a pretty rough position to actually get this chest anyway. Is he gonna try to bomb jump with one heart?
Oh no! Whoa! What? That was actually dope.
I'm forever silenced. The haters can go stuff it. Apparently, Dark Shadows does not stop for no mere mortal commentator.
What?
Did the sword spin to stop the wall master at the same time? The ice rod usage to freeze the Gibdo is simply incredible.
Yeah, that was dope. And knowing that they didn't take any half-heart damage because they were running the risk of dying there. Because they have blue mail, so the half-heart is all a bomb's gonna do. But if they missed, they died. But I think they stepped out and stepped back in order to make sure that whenever they died, they would just reset right there. So
I am just absolutely floored. Floor master.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
It's actually a wall anyway. The pun's like halfway there.
I am also floor mastered because that was pretty incredible. So we're getting our smithy check, but they're going to save and quit because it's going to be just as easy, and they're going to get a heart, not refill, but at least a slight bump up from what they're currently at their half heart state. So we're going to be rolling on over to the dam, and we're going to see what the smithies have for us. While Dawnvenure is going to be doing the checks that Dark Shadows has already done over there on the top. Now, trying to bonk over, you got to do it a little differently. I think that is a bomb jumpable spot, but it's really tight. I think you only have that 1 pixel of getting to the top, and that's not exactly the easiest pixel to hit.
I'll be honest, I genuinely don't even know about a bomb jump there. Like, that's how obscure that bomb jump would be.
Yeah, I've seen people bomb jump to do the bonk skip that I discussed earlier. But it's a really odd position for it. Now, I will say too that there was a seed a while back in a cross keys that I was playing that I was lost. I could not figure out where the Cane of Samaria was. Lo and behold, the Cane of Samaria was in the big chest of Turtle Rock because I had hookshot. So that could also be a thing here. If we find hookshot, that chest becomes in logic because you can actually hookshot across to it. So we do not have the big key of Desert Palace on either side. So Dark Shadow is getting the same information that Dawnvenure just got not too long ago.
Yeah, in terms of other big keys we have out there floating out in the ether, so to speak, Dark Shadows has found the Palace of Darkness big key. The Dawnvenure is not. We're still looking for a Swamp Palace big key anywhere at all. Ice Palace as well, not that we really want to need it in the first place. And then Desert Palace. Those are the big remaining outstanding keys that we still got to find.
Yeah, and the Swamp Palace big key may not even be needed at all because it only unlocks that 1 check for the big chest. You don't actually need the big key to get through Swamp Palace. So
yeah, we're just hoping that that's not like a hook shot there.
Yeah, vanilla hook shot would be absolute awful. That would be horrible. But we are going to get our lamp on Dark Shadows side. So as far as items go, if you're peeking at the screen right now, we still have not turned in the mushroom, so we do not know what is at the mushroom spot, or rather the potion shop. But the biggest difference right now is that hammer. The hammer is in vanilla. Well, I say vanilla. It's in French vanilla location in Pod. And Pod is in Kakariko. Pod was very early. Dark Shadows did go into Pod, but did not have a key to be able to get all the way through, so the checks were not really useful. So where Dawnvenure did make a little bit of a different routing choice and found a couple of keys and got all the way back. So we need to go to GT. Reg is absolutely correct. I agree. GT is the play right now, in my honest opinion.
Well, now that Dark Shadows has acquired the lamp, I think he has the ability to actually live up to his name, having a light source. Can cast some Dark Shadows here, and maybe the specter of the logic of the seed speaking to his name specifically. He seems to be heading back towards the GT area. Or not? I spoke too soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing. They got the lamp. I mean, I don't know if they if their lamp is like, oh well, I need to do this, or oh, you know where they're going?
I don't actually.
They're actually going to check the purple chest. So
I like that pause there because I'll be honest with you, I was hesitating with you on that.
I was trying to I knew where they were headed. I was trying to think of the name of the stupid thing. Like I'm like, what is the name? My brain is so fried from following this. We're almost 2 hours in, and we're really not any closer to go mode than we were probably 30 minutes ago. So
almost not even closer than an hour ago if it weren't for keys and like a couple of crystals.
Yeah, like the major keys that we're needing right now is the big key to Desert Palace, not Dark Palace, excuse me. We need to find that. That's the major key we need. We know where the big key to Turtle Rock is. At least Dawnvenure has found it. We know where the pod big key is because Dark Shadows has found it. Each of these runners have one thing that the other does not in many fashions. I was like, what you doing? Just walk
out.
Hey, and we found the back of Skull Woods in hammer pegs. So, you know, Jeremiah's going on a field trip. Gonna find out how to beat a boss today. So
do moths eat frogs?
I thought frogs eat moths, actually.
What about dwarves?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, I'm not a frog. I'm just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Has a lengthy singing career that's just being completely neglected by our commentators. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a scary looking Lionel here.
Yeah, Lionels are scary anywhere they're at, especially when you can't. Well, I say you can't. They could. Silvers do kill Lionels.
I'm actually pretty surprised that we haven't seen Dawnvenure pick up that sword yet.
Yeah, I wonder if they may have done that.
Hey, is there anything weird about the spikes in this room?
Not at all, man. You've never seen spike crabs?
Mothula Tektites? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's a beautiful beautiful setup when it comes to Randomizer. It's a whether it's boss shuffle or not, those spikes will change into like that sprite is a very common one. Sometimes they'll be a little bit more goofy. So Frog is just sitting there going like, dude, what are we doing? Why are we here? What is life?
This isn't where I hit the hero's medal.
Yeah, right. Oh man, the Chrono Trigger reference. Oh, leave Square Enix games alone. I don't deserve that.
Is this where we get the Masamune?
Yeah, you know, it makes me really want to listen to Frogs now.
Yeah, not gonna lie, it's a banger.
Yep. I mean, when you take a sword and you literally break a mountain in half, oh, Dark Shadows making the play, going into pod. They're gonna have their hammer soon, and they are gonna be able to complete this dungeon. So that's gonna give them their third crystal. So we have 4 dungeons on the left and 3 dungeons on the right. However, the 4 on the left is 2 pendant dungeons, neither of which are the green pendant. Dawnvenure is now going to be grabbing their sword. I don't know if you can do. Can you do the race game with a follower?
I don't know. I can't tell if he's trying to take Frog to the red knife or to, like, you know, the ruby knife. I'm sorry, or to go find Ozzy, slash, and flee. This is quite the adventure right now. This blacksmith has gone a long way. Wait, so this means we killed Magus, right? Because we have the transformed. All right, that's enough jokes.
It would have
Tempered
only
sword for Dawnvenure.
it would have only been better if one of them was playing as the Magus sprite.
That would be the ultimate.
Which is odd. That's actually one of my sprites that I love playing. I absolutely love that sprite. Shout outs to a lot of the sprite devs who have done a magnificent job, giving us a lot of these amazing just sprites that you see. I do not know the left one. I'm not aware of what that is from.
I'm pretty sure that's Abigail from Stardew Valley, because we saw the Junimo sprite with an amethyst above it, which I've been playing a lot of that game, you can probably tell. It was bunny sprite, so that's got to be it.
Yeah, so there, we got Stardew Valley sprites. There's even Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. So
that's awesome.
If you really want to play as any of those, you've got a lot of the other game franchises as well. Mario with Cappy. There's a bunch of them out there, and there's a bunch of great sprite developers that have done that stuff. It's been fantastic. And there is also a Frog sprite as well. Shout outs to that, because even though it's only called Frog, and for some reason the bunny sprite for the Frog is actually Bomberman. I don't know why.
Kind of goofy.
I don't know why. That was probably an early development when it came to that, but
I do know that was an early sprite.
So we are getting checks right now through the hammer. Now that is a powder in the bottom. I did not see what was in the big chest.
It was just a single rupee.
Okay, so powder is a big find. Big key to swamp. Okay, so big key to swamp is
potentially good, potentially not.
Now that they have hammer, it's okay.
Yeah, it's definitely checks.
Because they can get all the way through, but that leaves left side swamp without a hook shot.
And of course, without the hook shot, you definitely can't do the stuff in the back yet either. So it's like, you're gonna do a double dip here? Typically swamp's not a bad double dip. It's just that we know that swamp is north of Bumper Cave, and it's not a fun place to walk to.
Exactly, it's pretty ugly. It's nasty. So, I think the real play here, if I'm assessing from a commentator's point of view, the real play is going and doing Aga 1. I would say Aga 1, not even Aga 2 at this point, even though going up Ganon's Tower was a really early available check that could just be locking us on the sense of a cane or a hookshot. The problem with going up doing Aga 2, you have to have we are missing the second key. Okay, for some reason I was telling myself Dark Shadows had the second key. That's because they checked the second chest.
Yeah,
so,
you did get the second chest, but you still need another key to get through the next door.
Yeah, that's where I was making brain do bad thing work stuff.
Well, that might make the opposite check a little more reasonable. I mean, maybe the top of GT feels more appealing if you can't find that small key, because we're gonna run low on locations pretty soon.
Hype Cave.
We have not seen Hype Cave yet. 4 more checks in here that could potentially be of value. Hookshot's certainly one of them.
That's hookshot. That incentivizes going up GT. That incentivizes it, because the problem with going up GT is that you would have to hover, or you'd have to do that new Moldorm 2 bomb jump, and that's just not fun. So that incentivizes going up GT. Wow, that check! Oh my lord, that is hookshot in a absolutely awful spot, man.
Yeah, so that was the Mimic Cave entrance. Not the Mimic Cave entrance, the right Turtle Rock entrance.
That is Mimic Cave, yeah.
Oh wait, that wasn't the Light World?
Yeah, that was Mimic Cave entrance.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, Hype Cave at Mimic Cave.
It's a fun time. So it may be a little while before Dark Shadows comes back to Turtle Rock. Having already done Laser Bridge and everything else that he could at the time, would not be surprised to see him avoid that for a while.
And there's
our Desert Palace big key.
So that's huge. So at this point, we know hookshot was required. So that is absolutely 100% needed. Because you need that Desert Palace big key. So I this is definitely an advantage on Dawnvenure spot until Dark Shadows goes to that location now. Something that could really jump Dark Shadows back up if he finds the Cane of Samaria in a really just awful spot. That would be really, really good for them. But they are about to go check the... That's a smart entrance to check. Very smart entrance. Yeah, it really is, because you just don't even think about checking it because of Hammer. Like, it's such a weird entrance that's only locked by Hammer. So, we're getting the Desert Palace big chest check. If this leads to... Okay, I was gonna say, if this leads to Cane of Samaria, that's a big nail in a coffin right there, because it's going to take going back to a location that's really out of the way.
But that is the one requirement.
Yeah.
At this point, we will still need a Palace of Darkness big key. It looks like, assuming that that we didn't find that yet for Dawnvenure. But that's... I mean, between that and Desert Palace, which we just found, the Desert Palace big key, it's not a lot of components remaining.
Yeah, so for go mode for Dawnvenure right now, which I think they might be finding their pod big key right now. Yeah, there it is. It was on Laser Bridge. So there you go. It's almost like they went right there to it. So go mode for them. They just found their Desert Palace big key. They just found their pod big key. They are basically, yeah, they are Kane from go mode. They're not even in any kind of key mode right now.
Yeah, so this is rapidly starting to accelerate here. Dawnvenure going for the things that are currently available, knowing that, full well you can just finish Desert here at this point.
Yeah, so that will give them their third crystal, where honestly Dark Shadows is finishing they're finishing a I was about to say their fourth crystal, but no. This is also going to be a third crystal for Dawnvenure. They're actually going to have pretty much the same dungeons beaten at this point, with the exception of Pod for Dark Shadows. But we are looking for the hook shot for Dark Shadows, and both of them are looking for the Cane of Samaria. The thing that's actually useful about where that hook shot was is that it's right next to where the shotgun was, so it's really not that difficult to go right to. So
yeah, so no, it could be possible. Like, I mean, I don't think Dawnvenure knows how to do a hover that long, but like, if you could hover the Trinex bridge, you would potentially skip Samaria in this seed.
Yeah, I think like there are some amazing hoverers out there. Even the most famous of all, Andy, has trouble doing that hover. I think he's done it on a couple occasions where it was like, it was in a multi-world that he's done it and things like that, where it was like, yeah, actually, in one of the
sitting anyway.
Yeah, so one of the instances they did that, they did that hover. Andy did that hover and found the Cane of Samaria on Trinex. And it was in some sort of broken logic that was done because he was helping test. And as soon as he found it, he was like, hey, Vitor, there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, stuff like that, kind of makes this formats like this work. I mean, this is a jamboree of ridiculousness.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'll tell you right now, Andy may be the most famous person to hover. I'm going to say it, and I'll outright be that person. I do not think Andy is the best hoverer out there. There are a lot of people out there that are fantastic and just absolutely consistent about hovering. Maybe not super long distances, but there are some folks that just absolutely make it look like it's a breeze, like it's nothing. So,
well, I'll say though that it was mentioned in chat that Dawnvenure does know how to do at least the hookshot cave, and we've seen Dark Shadows attempt a couple hovers so far in this seed. So, pretty impressive that we're seeing 2 attempts at it, or at least 2 people who are capable of it in one race. That's a pretty rare skill. honestly,
Mm.
amongst people who are good at the game.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, there's two names in chat right now that come to mind. P-Train's a fantastic cover, and somebody who is getting back into the scene, Dory, or Jesselshaft. She is a absolute like force to be reckoned with. So
you can hear her controller in interviews.
It's so great. She's like, all I do is what? Why? Oh Lord. Okay, I'm sorry. Could you please like fix your controller and stop hitting it so hard? It didn't do anything wrong.
All right. Well, while I enjoy and love talking about my teammates, because I actually am on her team, we do of course want to focus on these two.
Absolutely.
We are seeing Swamp Palace from Dark Shadows now, as Dawnvenure is going to go back and finish Palace of Darkness. So the hover question probably not super important for the race today, but interesting that there's a situation where we could skip an extra item because of it and not be the hook shot.
And actually, with this find, so they need to do their. I wonder if they're going to save scum here.
It would be a good choice. I mean, the thing is like it's just an awkward one to do. Like you don't really want to go back and forth to get here, but Kakariko Potion Shop, or Bomb Shop as you may have referred to it earlier, not that hard to get back to. We just don't have a fleet to do it fast.
So they're going to give, I think they're going to give their Hammer Yump a shot again, which not a bad call. It can save you the time if you don't want to. It's not very hard to get to, especially with the like you said, it's a very quick save and quit to go into Sanctuary, so not very far away.
And I like doing this with more health. This is considerably healthier than we were the first time we tried it, so Dawnvenure, making a smart heads-up decision to try and save the keys in one go.
Yeah, it's still one of those things where it's how many times are you going to make this chance if you're having a hard time doing it? It's hard to make that call as a runner, because if you're frustrating yourself and you're getting to a point where you're like, I don't want to do this, it's like I need to get this. This is going to be something that's going to help me. I'm not going to have to find the last pod key. I don't want to waste the time having to reset, because resetting takes like 25 seconds. It's a pretty long time to get back into that menu. And it's just like, it's a frustrating thing for sure. So we are seeing left side swamp though, and so far it is nothing. So
I will say this much for those of you out there who are trying to, get better at this bomb jump, or even for Dawnvenure if you're watching this back. One thing you can do is try to rely on the way that Link's movement works, like innately. So like if you want to move 1 pixel up or down, it's easier to do that on a diagonal than it is to do it with like a straight vertical movement. Although moving down will generally be 1 pixel on the first frame, and moving up will generally be 2 pixels on the first frame, with some exceptions depending on how you're currently moving. But from a resting state, it's easier to do a diagonal input with a pause buffer than it is to try and, tap it into place.
there it is.
There it is.
Well done.
Yeah, that was a good use of pause buffering too.
I'm happy they got that. Nothing frustrates me more, even as a commentator, just seeing a trick that you've done before, and you've seen it done, and you've had it done, and it's like in practice you're fine at it, and then it just absolutely wrecks you in a race. It's a rough.
Tell you what though, the Swamp Palace Big Key, probably a not so welcome reward. Since we're doing references, all that for a drop of blood.
Well, they got powder, so we have not seen the magic bat check, and we have not seen mushroom check. Actually, those are both very interesting spots that we just have not seen yet. Now, also notably, not that we need it, we haven't found the flute.
Yeah, that's I'd imagine like in cross keys, this isn't necessarily that relevant of an item, unless you don't have a connector to Mr. Meyer, which could very well happen. Yeah,
it could happen. It's a pretty unusual occurrence. You usually do have some sort of connector. The thing that is very useful about finding the flute is just movement. Movement in cross keys is so useful. So being able to get to entrances to go hit a connector, or if like something is in like the Ice Rod Cave area that you got to go to, the fastest way to get there is by going to, Flute 8. So.
Also, I want to point something out that really has not come up at all this race, but we've sort of just realized it, I think, or at least Dawnvenure realized it earlier and then remembered now. Quick swap is a thing in cross keys. We've seen Dark Shadows menu for every single item change. You may not remember that, but L and R, you get uses out of it besides canceling text boxes.
In defense of the runners, I'll tell you right now, the mystery seeds, I don't know if that's something that's been fixed by Synac recently, but the mystery seeds, even in getting an entrance, doing the quick swap sometimes doesn't turn on right. So like I just stopped relying on her, stopped trying to figure it out, because it wouldn't work for me whenever I got a mystery that had entrance.
Yeah, it's just a little weird and disorienting to see Dawnvenure doing that menu. Well, not doing that menu, I'm sorry. Which is actually a really awesome time save if you're used to it. But almost nobody's used to it unless you play a lot of like entrance randomizer.
Yeah.
As that's the most common place to see it.
So Dark Shadows is in a good position. They're in the right area, I believe. Are they making that play?
I believe so.
Good.
I had to look at my notes to figure out which entrance we're looking at, GT or Castle Tower.
Yeah, definitely GT, because again, we don't. Well, they're going to be doing the left side play. Yeah, they're going to be doing the left side play, and going up at this point. So a little bit of insight to the way Dark Shadows does think. They may be thinking, yeah, I'll go up GT after this and do that, because they might be thinking, well, if I make the gamble that somebody else doesn't and I find hookshot on the way up, that's huge for me. The thing is, obviously, you're not going to sit there and kill Moldorm 2 if you don't have the hookshot, because that's a waste of time. So, Swamp's Monkey was Desert Ledge.
I don't think Dark Shadows remembers that you can bonk across these gaps.
As you say that.
I think he remembers that he can bonk across these gaps.
Yeah, I was thinking if you get the bomb jump, it's also easier just to bonk to get over there. So that first bomb jump is a lot easier than doing 3 bonks and then bomb jumping here. But this bomb jump's a little bit easier than the little spot that you have to hit for that other one.
What a kind soul thinking about the fantasy owners, trying to reduce the total bonk count.
And Dawnvenure having the unfortunate side effect of forgetting you don't have the Swamp Smoky.
Which is ordinarily such a weird, random, rare scenario that doesn't really come up that much.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Unless you're used to Key Sanity, it's one of those things that you're like, this is a really weird feel. Getting that quick bonk there, that bonk saves a lot of I guess strife, because having a bonk in those other directions is just a pain in the butt. So,
or a pain in the face is you have to face check a lot of objects in order to do that.
Nice, I like it.
This was a really annoying spike for Dawnvenure. Dark Shadows baiting it to the right ended up being the right call.
So, right was the right call, is what you're saying?
It was absolutely the right decision. I believe he's absolutely in the right for doing so.
It would have been a shame if he would have went left.
I probably would have had to leave that, or would have left that chest behind. Look, I didn't say I was funny.
we just go ahead and throw us out the window, chat. It's okay. So, a little bit of a recap here. If you're just joining us, you're seeing that we have a lot of items found, but we're still doing a lot of checks. The reason behind that is we need that Cane of Samaria. Now we are in cross-world Key Sanity, so we're looking for really no keys at this point. We have found every key that we really need, unless of course we need maybe the Ice Palace big key to get that Cane of Samaria, or say key to get some weird location,
like Swamp.
Yeah, like swamp. We found the swamp big key. We found all the swamp keys that we need. All the swamp keys that exist. So, big key of Turtle Rock. That's actually a good find for Dark Shadows, even though Dawnvenure had that earlier. So, the major thing we're looking for right now is our Arcana Samaria. Keys have pretty much played themselves out. The entrances are actually, they're kind of kind. I'm not even going to call them bad in this instance. They're relatively well placed. They're not in any trolley locations as far as the dungeons are concerned. The hook shot, which Dark Shadows does not have, is the Mimic Cave location, which was Hype Cave. So Hype Cave holds our actual hook shot. Now, one thing I didn't know if Dawn checked or not, did we get to see the big chest of GT? I'm pretty sure they did. I saw them over. They didn't. They just caught the ferry and left? Wow.
I don't think so, but I mean, I might have missed it.
I remember them over there on the ferries, at least. So the purple chest glitch, Orpheus Flow, the way that works is you carry the chest and then you do a screen transition and it doesn't despawn. If you're familiar with having the purple chest or a follower with you and you try to do the dig game and he says, no, that's why. It's because you have a follower that is actually still loaded. So the problem with that is, that means you can put the chest somewhere, like, say, where you would usually if you're going to Hype Cave, vanilla, and then you walk all the way around and you can talk to him and he thinks you have it. So he will to you and open the chest. So
yeah, it kind of comes down to, like, the game setting a flag for Link, and it doesn't unset that flag unless there's certain conditions are met. So, like, certain transitions, certain, like, saving quit, for example. And knowing, that you have that flag still makes it so that you can kind of abuse the way the game checks for it.
Exactly, because the NPCs will basically yes or no check you is what happens. So it says, does have follower, yes, does have follower, no, and then it goes from there. Which this game is, we make jokes that this game is so well programmed, but in all honesty, there's a reason we play it on the version we do. We play it on the very most basic version of the game because of what it allows us to do. The game that was re-released for US versions, like the ones that they're putting out and on like the SNES Classic and things like that, all of those glitches are out. Like that's a relatively well polished game considering. So
yeah, one of the few things that we've discovered in recent years that can be done basically to any version of the game or any of the Ancilla glitches, things that rely on us overloading sprites or having too many on screen or like mis-slotting the actual information that is stored for those sprites. Those are things that Nintendo never knew about. In fact, we never knew about it until just like a year or two ago.
And I think you can almost attribute that to just SNES. You can attribute that to like just being 16-bit, 8-bit graphics, because you see that kind of stuff in it's what you're gonna run into. But yeah, this seed is something else. This seed is definitely it's been a thing, but if I haven't said it before, let me say it again. Dawnvenure and DarkShadows59, they're providing that entertainment for you, and they're the ones putting up with this. You're just watching. Imagine how they feel.
Yeah, definitely give them a follow.
Follow these runners. And I usually forget to do this because we're the ones that are talking. But we got Regaro over there on tracking. Give them a follow too. They're doing a very thankless job. Let's face it, because they're the ones doing all the button clicking, and they have to really pay attention. We're just up here babbling, and then legitimately
has bailed me out several times in this seat already.
Same here. I would not be anywhere close to where I'm at right now. Dark, why are you gonna try to hover? Dude, don't do this. There's a hook shot out there. It exists, man. But if he gets that though, that's the Desert Palace big key right there. Yeah, and shout outs to Udai, my co-com. Like honestly, this has been a fantastic experience. I've really enjoyed co-comming with you.
I've definitely leaned on your experience with cross keys. I'll be honest with you.
Hey, and you have a in-depth knowledge of the game as well, so it's really helped a lot. That's the second time they've checked that sign. Maybe it's gonna have new information.
You know what though? Like, I mean, for what these two have been through throughout this race, I mean, not only do they have a tangled version of Hyrule itself, they have the tangled items, you know, the tangled enemies. Just trying to unknot all of this stuff might be valuable to actually double check some of these things, because you know, just the reminder alone gives you a clear understanding. Hey, what do I need to be thinking about right now? Dawnvenure are going to head up the top of GT, and I have to imagine just like reassessing the information makes this a more clear decision.
So the way that if I'm not mistaken, I think the entrance to get to Meyer area was the Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, we had that connector.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the back of Hookshot Cave.
That's correct, yeah. Although I'm going to double check just because I'm doubting myself now.
I'm doubting myself too. Honestly, every time I do this, I make notes, and I make like 5 notes in the beginning, and then I stop making notes. I give up. I give up after about 2 or 3 times, and I'm just like, well, that was an interesting experiment in futility.
Well, we had a left Hyrule Castle led to the Meyer Cave itself, so maybe I'm thinking of a different entrance.
That's possible. I know that Dark Shadows found Swamp Palace, and after finding Swamp Palace, the entrance to get to Misery Mire was right there by it, because then they got to the desert ledge with their and found the small key to Swamp Palace there. So it might be because where was Swamp Palace? That was Dark Shopping Mall, right?
Yeah, it was north of the Bumper Cave.
North of Bumper Cave. Oh, right. So you know what? I have we're just
but check out the swarm of bees going on right now.
Yes, bees, man, bees. I love it. Where was the connector to Myra Syria? That's exactly what we were trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's a question that even the runners themselves might be wondering about at this point. Although Dark Shadows heading to, I remember this being something important in the potion shop. Yeah, so
yes,
that mushroom only 20 rupees today. He definitely took some time to go all the way out here. We'll at least fill up bottles.
So yeah, yeah, I'm thinking it's Hookshot Cave. That's by no means quote me on that, because I remember Dark Shadows going back behind there and something happening. Like I remember
that does also sound right.
So now, also with that being said, on this instance, we are looking at 2 hours and 25 minutes, and we have Dawnvenure going up GT, and Beer Force 1 mile. I'm like looking at the top and reading the name instead of reading the actual runner's name. Dark Shadows has Swamp Palace checked, didn't go to the back, so we know where Hookshot is. It was in Hype Cave, which was actually in a really trolly location, Mimic Cave. So we are doing cross keys if you're just joining us, which is a mystery week for week 4. This is the first day of mystery. And they rolled a doozy. They rolled the cross-world entrance, Keys Sanity, as well as Standard and Randomizer. Now, they did not get Boss Shuffle, and we are in the midst of it right now, so.
The only thing nice about the Seed Gen here today is that we had an Assured Sword. and we got an Uncle Text. I do like Standard for that reason.
Yeah, the Uncle Text was I don't even know what he said. I think it was a foreign language though, or it was some joke that I'm just not aware of. But I do know that it was a something possibly I did not read. Both. Now this is the first Ice Palace full dip. He can technically full clear this. It is going to be a well, I say full clear. Excuse me, no big key. So they can do almost every check. They cannot do the big chest. They can skip, obviously, the Oh, hi, both guys.
This is
Y'all are
a little earlier than normal.
You're supposed to be in the other room.
So where do they drop down from? Because they were hiding there normally, right? So what just happened?
They're playing Portal. That's exactly it. They were playing Portal, and they jumped, and they ended up in the other side. Oh.
They decided to make a neat gun. That's a good point. For the people who are still alive, not them, though.
Yeah, so GT is coming up empty. We have one more check. Now, a second one-eyed Moldorm.
Together with the power of 2 Moldorms, they have 2 eyes. Yo, I really can't see this without imagining like a monocle.
Yeah, it's... Yes. No, Mr. Bond, I intend on killing you.
I expect you to hover.
Oh, man, that's great. The first time I ever saw the one-eyed Wonder Moldorm, I couldn't stop laughing, man. I was just dying.
Alright, well...
So it does open up one. Yeah, it opens up Lumberjack. It's one check. Oh, that's kind.
And of course, if we end up finding, say, like a castle tower key behind that, that would also give us the well. So we are still looking for that key in order to get to the well if we still can't find the Samaria somewhere else.
Well. Oh, man. Yeah, I did it. I went there. So, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, well, Castle Tower to the well. Now, here's the really bad part. If you commentary curse them for this, that is so evil. Because that's just rude.
So you're saying it would be from the tower to the well?
I can't continue that.
I'm trying not to sing.
We've legitimately gone to 3... No! You go away. Go to your room.
You hate to see it. I started there. We're good.
You gotta go to your room. You're grounded.
Alright, so all the chat giving me a cold stare is that exciting cold stare. Getting that last pendant. Of course, it could end up being nothing in the well. And this could all just be a funny coincidence. The randomizer does.
Dude. Oh man, I'm dying from that. That is absolutely hysterical. And shout outs to Dawnvenure for remembering this, because we're also going to be getting another check here from Dark Shadows. We can go check Sahasrahla. So,
so
man.
To unpack this entire sequence, to explain why this is hilarious. Early in the game, we found out through the beginning checks of entrances, we realized, hey, this is this kind of entrance shuffle. We found out that the lumberjack entrance is blocking the well, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we could check the other exit. So we found that out real early on. We've been missing this castle tower key for like 2.5 hours. So now that we found it, we have the means to go get to the well, which is in all likelihood probably Arcana Samaria. Let's be honest, at this point, it's probably that.
There's a big chance that's where it's at. Because everything in here came up empty, so we did not find that here. I'm not sure why Dark Shadows is going back in. What did he miss? Oh wait, did he not get iced tea because of the routing?
That's pretty likely.
Yeah. So and here's another thing too that's also worth pointing out. Lamp was on. Lamp was in Desert Palace, and the small key of Desert Palace was in Skullwoods. I said Meyer earlier. Reg corrected. Shout outs again. So, yeah, this has been something of a doozy.
Doozy doesn't even, describe it. It's just, Reg actually in chat pointing out that, yeah, it's cross-world entrance shuffle plus key sanity plus Randomizer. It is cross-keysimizer. It is, oof. On the bright side, we did have standard modes. We had a predictable, start. We had a short sword. There's a couple of bright sides to this, but not many.
So we don't get to do the big key guessing game in any kind of key sanity. However, we can do a wonderful guessing game of how many blue balls. You have up to 15 blue balls that you can get. So if you want to go ahead and put a guess in chat, be my guess. You can go as bad as 15 and putting the hurt on our runners. Because if Kane is here, that's going to require both runners to do this. And it could be as few as 0. So if they get no blue balls, that's going to be the God Seed. So
I'm an optimist. I think 16 is actually going to be the number because we'll miss one shot somehow. Dang it. All right. Prove me wrong right away. And then win the extra coin flip, but no. Alrighty, well, that is 1 so far. So we're guaranteed not 15.
Yeah, pretty much. So the thing about this, every time that a lightning phase happens, the very first shot that Aghanim does at the beginning of the fight, as well as every lightning shot, will always be a normal shot. So you will not have a blue ball on the first shot. That is guaranteed. And that's the reason why you have the ability to have up to 15.
Yeah, and so while the RNG is going to be set between both runners for the first attempt at any boss like this one, Ganon Warp's another example, Aghanim 2 patterns. That was actually a pretty quick one, like, what, 2?
Yeah, I think it was only 2, if not maybe 3. I don't think there was more than 2.
For general information and to, like, better understand the speed run and, like, where the time is lost in that fight, it's actually more than anything besides just the count. It's like exactly where in the cycle you end up falling, because when you finish them, you may or may not have waited an extra lightning attack, and those are very slow. So besides, push them towards the center to get the faster warps, there's not much time save involved, but the luck can affect you disproportionately depending on which set you'll be on.
Yeah, very, very. It's a very rough thing because it's not exactly far into the run, but it's not early either into a normal NMG run. So it's like it's at that rough moment that if you're gonna reset a run, it can kill you. It's just bleh. So.
Alrighty, so unknown availability. We have reached the pinnacle apex moment of this hilarity. Is this we know it's the well, but is this going to be Arcana Samaria? The bees, we're going to consult them on the way for good luck. Dawnvenure, bonking into the tree. This is it, chat.
I don't know, man. Because there's so much other stuff. We could get the book to go check the ped, to go check both tablets. We could get the shovel, and it could be in the shovel spot. It could be so much. So, I don't know, dude.
Small key.
The thieves. Oh my god.
That opens up another possibility.
Bombs. The flute that doesn't do anything. It's not here, but it could be behind it. Because here's the thing. Oh, that was the big key to ice, wasn't it? Did he just get the big key to ice in ice?
Oh wait, he did, yeah.
Yeah, so the big key to ice was in Ice Palace. So, man, oh Lord. So there's still the green pennant out there, by the way. Yes, flute does get an easier access to that small key to swamp. It could also be in the back of swamp. Keep that in mind. So
there's the book.
The book is right there.
Oh, breadcrumbs. If we were seagulls, we would be so content right now. Because we're just finding stuff littered everywhere that's pointing us to places we don't want to be.
Yeah, and honestly, that book is one of the worst things to find in here, because that gets in Dark Shadows even further away from his goals of getting the hookshot in Hyde Cave, which is in the Mimic Cave spot. I can breathe after all the man. It's that old song of there's a hole where there's a worm, where there's where every next section of the song is another larger section.
Yeah, like that old Irish one, Rat in the Bog.
Yeah, exactly. That's what this is reminding me of, because of how we found Akane.
daisy chaining everything and all the weird trolling locations. Like, I mean, you got the Cane of Burna there and the big chest. How bad does Dark Shadows feel right now? Like, that has gotta be an awful, miserable feeling.
I see, maybe, but here's the thing. You know what else he can do? He's gonna do it.
Pedestal, you could just pull it.
Is he gonna do it for us, chat? Is he gonna blind pull?
There's no other way.
Is he the ultimate bro?
Look, honestly, at this point, I think you've invested that much time in your pendant dungeons. You just gotta pull it.
You just gotta do it. Accept your fate and take it.
Like, I mean, at this point, there's plenty of things you could do to save time. If this is gonna lose you the race for not checking it first,
he's blind.
Then you already deserve it.
He didn't even pull out. He didn't even pull out the book, and it is. Oh, piece of heart. I was like, if this is the cane, that would have been ridiculous. Now, here's the thing: green pendant is still a thing, and if it's green pendant, Dawnvenure like absolutely bailed on Ice Palace, said nope from the beginning, and they had the ability to beat it when they were there. They had a hammer, so they could have done it, and with they just I get it. I understand why you don't want to do that.
Well, the drama and tension still building in this race as we continue to uncover small little bits and pieces of what could potentially be a pretty crazy finale.
Yeah, so Dark Shadows really needs to go get his hook shot from. Oh, so it was. Oh, that's rude. Okay, so no, it wasn't Hookshot Cave. It was the left side of Escape that was the connector to Mario. So Cane of Samaria like legit could be on one of these spots, and that's going to be a huge thing to find. So nothing but love there. We are at 17 hearts for Dark Shadows. He's getting all the heart checks. We are at 15 for Dawnvenure. And
I think at least one of those is a full container difference. So I mean, that's at least a handful of checks.
Yeah, I mean it's still a solid amount of checks. The fact that Dawnvenure, because Dark Shadows will not get a few things. Considering, like, if Dark Shadows finds the cane before finding the hook shot, then that is going to lead in an interesting pile of breadcrumbs. Now, here's the thing. Dawnvenure's checks are going to end relatively soon once they check this location here. If they check the Thieves Town big chest, which I think that's where they're going to Swamp. That's a good check.
Yeah, because I mean, now that we got that small key, it's a little bit more appealing. I gotta say though, with all these checks, I think I get what you're saying here. Is that Dark Shadows has done so many checks that he has a book now to keep them in.
Ah, yes, that's exactly what I was not saying. So
well, I mean, he could end up bouncing from this dungeon instead, and then the checks will have bounced.
Yeah. Wow. Oh man, that's oh, that hurts.
Well, it looks like we will exhaust all possibilities here in Palace of Darkness. Really overdrawing on the checks in this position, because like that's you took a while to get that key and you didn't get anything out of it, so not able to withdraw. He has to make sure he's checked everything, but that hurts.
I don't remember where Swamp Big was either. Oh man, this seed has officially broken me. I'm just like, I'm trying to think what kind of fresh amount of steam this is putting off. Yeah, I agree, T-Rex. Udai is just straight dropping the puns. It's one of those things where I don't know. So Dawnvenure, remembering something that I forgot, the back of Swamp Palace. Oh, they have the big swamp. So never mind.
That's
they
a
already
pretty
have
hefty number of checks, though.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 no 5. 5.
And completable crystal at this point.
It is. That's a big thing. Going and doing your completable crystal. Here's the thing. No, Myers fully cleared. Just kidding. What was on Ether Tower? Probably nothing of note on Ether. And here he goes, going up the tower.
Yeah.
I figured he was going to do that, because at this point he's probably thinking the hookshot's got to be up there. So the one thing...
We know better.
Yeah, we definitely know better. Mapped somewhere. Okay, so nothing in general. So the book not paying out for Dark Shadows. However, there is the green pendant. We're waiting to see if, well, that's okay. That was the red room. Let's see if it continues throughout the back. Is the back of Swamp Palace full of red?
Will we paint this town red?
Oh, that's a small key to ice. Okay, it's like I don't think there's another small key that we can get that's gonna be, that trolly.
Alrighty, well, that's still Argus.
Is the tracker allowed to forfeit?
I wouldn't question it at this point.
Yeah, man, this is turning into a 3-hour seed. Like, there's no way to avoid a 3-hour seed now. This has been a doozy. Good lord. So it could be on Argus. The Canis of Mario could be on Argus.
Yo, big props to Dawn for attempting the zero cycle. That was nice to see.
So we have Golducks up in the tower. They were Golducks. I made a Pokemon reference. We did one of those earlier.
Sorry,
I
got lost in the other thing. I meant to laugh at that.
No, I don't care. That's the map to Hyrule Castle telling you that the way that you went was definitely not the way of the hero. Oh man, so at this point, there's that one key to the back of, or not the back really, but the Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock. Golly.
We just got Ice Palace small key, the key for Desert Palace. No, we already got that. We really just need Samaria.
We need Samaria. That's what we need for Goma. But they got the Turtle Rock. It's not Turtle Rock. The other T. Thieves Town small key to go check the big chest.
Oh, yes, that was on the well. So, yeah, that's a horrible feeling. I forgot about that. So, Dawnvenure very likely to go do that next. I mean, we'll check the left side for sure, but that's like the one thing that'd be... If you're going to spend the time to go all the way up to Ganon's Tower, then do the whole castle tower climb, you're going to want to check everything related to that. You don't really want to make that time investment for nothing.
For sure. Now, here's another thing, too. I don't know if they checked this chest, because they got the big key to Turtle Rock and they checked the big chest. I don't remember them going in and checking the roller chest. You do not need the Canis of Mario to check that roller chest. That is illogical.
I don't know if I saw anyone do that, to be honest with you.
Well, I know for a fact that Dark Shadows has not done. We have seen Crystal Roller Room. I'm pretty sure Dark Shadows wasn't the one to do it. If Dawnvenure did it, I missed that part. I know I saw them check the big chest of Turtle Rock. I thought they noped out. It was really early.
That actually sounds about right. Like the first traversal.
How did they get to it then? They didn't have the Turtle Rock big key.
Yeah, I don't think we found Turtle Rock entrance, did we?
Or maybe they had the Turtle... Maybe I'm thinking wrong that they had the Turtle Rock big key and they went and checked that, and they didn't have the ability to get to the big chest, and that's what... So that might be what I'm thinking. Yeah, there has been 3 hours of checks, ladies and gentlemen, so that is what is making me have a absolute mental breakdown.
Yeah, I'm truly losing, like, a foggy-minded just thinking about this stuff.
Okay, I trust you, Reg. I really do. I trust you. Are you about to try this? I guess why not at this point? Why not?
Oh
You
yeah, he is
know,
hookshotless.
yeah, it's like your hook shot's not going to be back here.
I think just for the amount of time spent climbing the tower, you're definitely willing to give it a shot.
I suppose I would probably maybe try it. Oh, that's not okay. Yeah, I would
Pretty
maybe.
good save to avoid that though.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think I wouldn't even try it anymore. But you got to be feeling behind, man. You're at 2 hours and 47 minutes. How would you feel at this point? And here's the Ice Palace play. So here's the Ice Palace play.
The other interesting part about this is I don't think we saw a green pendant turn in from Dark
Nope.
Shadows, so that's still on the table.
It is. Now, Dawnvenure should have an easier time doing this traversal due to the fact that they have hook shot. So they can go through that, what are they called? The jelly room?
Yeah. Yeah, so that bomb jump's a little bit easier to deal with. You don't got to use one of your medallions necessarily. You can just hook shot over instead. Yeah, that's a good point. The routing becomes a lot more straightforward, so maybe a single dip the entire dungeon. Well, as far as getting to Sahasrahla goes, I did take a note on that. It was the left cave entrance of Turtle Rock, so that's not a friendly spot to... but it's not awful either.
That's actually terrific, though, for Dark Shadows. Because if Dark Shadows made good notes and knows it's over there, they have the mirror, they can go get their hook shot. They have to remember how to get there.
Wait, where was Hookshot again? That wasn't
Hookshot was in Hype Cave. No. Hookshot was in Hype Cave, which was at Mimic Cave. So if they get to that spot, so Sahasrahla is over there. So if the cane is there, that's gonna put us like neck and neck if Dark Shadows goes there. But the thing about this is Dark Shadows is 2 dungeons behind. So 2 required dungeons behind. Now, places that we know it cannot be are going to be behind the Pyramid Fairy entrance. Is 100% not going to be there. We know it's not going to be. Well, really, that's the major there. So, oh, good lord. So wherever Shovel might be, it could be under Shovel.
Otherwise, not a lot of locations left.
Yeah. So, we've got it right here. Dark Shadows is doing it right now. Going to Hype Cave, or excuse me, Mimic Cave, which is Hype Cave, which is an actual Hype Cave. So Dark Shadows is doing it right now. If this is it, that's going to put Dark Shadows in basically go mode. They just have to get their Desert Palace Big Key, which is in Hookshot Cave, which is not far from here.
Yeah, we're still not sure on the King of Samaria yet, but that's what we're looking for. Like, it's just that.
But the thing about this is, I think this is the last check for us.
I truly don't remember.
It's on Sahasrahla! What? What is this seed? That is so... Wow, man!
That's tough. What a turn of events. So, that's Misery Mire and Turtle Rock for Dark Shadows to finish out here, and he's already basically in Turtle Rock, as there are entrances you can get to very quickly at the save and quit. Mire has a pretty straightforward connector, and then from there he just needs to go back to Kakariko to kill Ganon. Or no, I'm sorry, he only needs to do Desert and... Does he have the Desert Big Key?
No, the Desert Big Key is in Hookshot.
So he does need to do Misery Mire and Turtle Rock here.
And Swamp House.
Oh, God.
He has to do 3 dungeons, where Dawnvenure has to do 1.
And on top of that, like, we'll probably be checking Sahasrahla after this.
So item go mode for Dark Shadows. I could imagine checking Sahasrahla. It's a matter of notes. It's a matter of, do they know where it's at?
That's the other thing too, is like it's a big stroke of genius for Dark Shadows to remember this stuff like this late in the seed. Our minds are going to mush and we're not even playing the game. Like, this is a really tough scenario for both runners.
Yeah, it all comes down to what locations Dawnvenure incentivizes, because Sahasrahla is in a very bad spot for Dawnvenure. They knew it was there. They haven't been back there. They could have checked that a while ago. I don't think they went over there. I think they knew about that as a super bunny. I think they found that as a super bunny, or as a bunny. So I don't think they even checked the back of Sahasrahla's closet. On top of, we are also looking at a possibility of dealing with book checks. So they might check the Bombos tablet. They might check the
Ether, yeah.
Ether, and also remember pedestal. You know, they're gonna probably go maybe blind pull pet as well. But all these checks that Dark Shadows already went through and wasn't in item go mode, both of these items being right next to each other, item go mode is a real good thing to be in right now. Dark Shadows, actually, I take that back. Let me say this. Dark Shadows is in go mode.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he knows all the things he needs to know in order to get to all the places he needs to get to.
It's just unfortunately, unfortunately, the last dungeon that they have to beat is absolutely butts. They have to beat TR, and they're doing Mire right now. Swamp Palace is pretty easy to go mode. So that's unfortunate. But really, the fact that they got to go through TR, that's kind of rough. Well, they know Laser Bridge, actually. No, it's not rough at all. What am I saying? So
yeah, the entrance is pretty friendly for just finishing the dungeon.
Yeah, like Turtle Rock actually becomes one of the easier dungeons to go mode in entrance. I completely forgot about that. No, Days, they do not. They only need 6 crystals to beat Ganon. However, they might have to go back up Ganon's Tower to beat Agatu.
For all dungeons?
Pretty much for all dungeons, but they're not going to beat Desert Palace. So they will need to beat they might need to beat Agatu for the requirement of Fast Ganon. If it's not
Fast Ganon versus Defeat Ganon.
Yeah.
As even nearly 3 hours in, we don't have confirmation on what it is.
Yeah, and with it being entrance, as was pointed out earlier, that's a huge thing. And here's another thing too. Dawnvenure might also be enticed into going to the Thieves' Town Big Chest.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so you're kind of in this Schrodinger's what's the worst possible thing I can choose to do right now. The spot Dawnvenure's in is just such a horrible feeling. So it's like, well, what do I choose? Yeah, it's like,
I mean,
50% this and
check to make.
Oh yeah, that's a very solid check to make. Without a doubt. Like, check a couple of the quick book checks. Those are not that difficult at all. It's just like, we know they're not going to find it here. So now it's like, pedestal. Sure, I can check it. I can say, all right, the bed's dead. I can check Thieves' Town Big Chest. I can check, going all the way over to Sahasrahla, which is an awful spot.
I'm pretty sure every single thing in this situation is like really rough. It's a deep time sink. It's going to be a painful check. I think right now we're about to see the pedestal check from Dawnvenure, so we'll see if we get a back-to-back blind check. I think at this point, 3 hours in, you just pull it. In the meantime, though, Turtle Rock being cleared by DarkShadows59, just one dungeon away from figuring out what Ganon is, and a go mode swamp at that.
Oh, wow. Huh.
So there goes the piece of heart for Dawnvenure. Looking to try and capture a victory here today. Pedestal's not the route. Needs one more dungeon as well. Just needs to figure out that Cane of Samaria, and there's too many things, in my opinion, that are likely distracting, so it'd be really hype if we end up seeing the right call being made.
I think we might be seeing that. This is the route that Dark Shadows took. So we might be seeing that green pendant check. Which, you know, it's really not all that bad, considering the direction that they're having to go. So I'm right call, and yeah, here it is. They're going right for it.
That's really big. So this is like the best possible scenario for Dawnvenure. Now in go mode, and just needs to get to the one remaining dungeon. The question here is, what's going to be faster, go mode Swamp or either Mizumire or Turtle Rock, depending on what Dawnvenure prefers here. I think Mizumire is probably best.
Oh yeah,
Turtle Rock's way faster.
No, Turtle Rock is way faster. Yeah, hands down. Turtle Rock is.
Gosh, that's such weird calculus to be doing in your mind at 2 hours 58 minutes as a runner. Oh my goodness.
Hands down. And that's something that's always like that. It's easy to forget because if you're used to running open mode and stuff like that, you're like, all right, TR is a long dungeon. Everybody hates TR in that, but in things like entrance or overworld glitches, you have such an easier way to get to the boss. It's just faster. It's such a fast check with the way Randomizer works. So, but this is this sizably puts Dawn in the lead.
I gotta point out, just for the sake of the humor of it, Dawnvenure trying to quick swap to the correct rod, forgetting that needed to use Cane of Samaria, so he ended up just switching to that with the menu instead. It's just a goofy, funny, like quick swap moment that you don't normally see in most restream matches. So, getting a try next fight here from Dawnvenure, we'll need to head back to Kakariko to check. Well, actually, no, we'll be able to just do Ganon. Already did the whole tower climb.
Yeah. Pretty much this became almost all dungeons for Dawnvenure, doing all of GT, all of except for right side, doing the GT climb, doing the Aga 1 deal. Aga 1 was not required at all in the slightest.
Correct.
So Ganon is at Magic Bat. So that is crystal number 6 for Dawnvenure, and we have got the Argus fight for Dark Shadows right now. It might be deceptively close. You might be thinking it's closer than what it really is, because Dawnvenure has done a lot more clear. If this isn't fast Ganon, which we're not even going to get that knowledge right now, we're not going to know, because they've done Aga 2. So we don't even know if it's fast.
Yeah, and we get a really fast traversal over here to the Ganon fight just because of that flute, so even more advantage getting here quickly. Looks like that's going to be the crystal at the same time that we see Ganon here.
Crumble, seriously, you're supposed to bring food. Ganon, no, we're going to cook you. How about that?
I was going to say, we definitely needed... a snack to get through this one. 3 hours in, finally our Ganon fight. Dawn setting up for at least it looks like a 2+1 cycle for phase 1 and 2.
And using the cape, that is a smart move. Honestly, if Dark. Okay. Okay. Are you doing GT?
I am a little confused. Maybe he thinks he needs something else.
I guess just banking on it not being fast Ganon. So, but then again, we also had the same moment of like, is this fast Ganon? I don't know. Because we were like, no, it's not fast Ganon because we didn't see the thing open, but I think that's kind of easy to forget. So, but also, we are 3 hours in. So, Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he even remembered where Ganon's tower was is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Well, that is 4 silver arrows into Ganon for Dawnvenure, and even getting a nice one in for the cutscene. That should be a victory here for What Are You Doing in My Swamp Palace. The first victory, actually, for their team. So GG's in chat, folks, for Dawnvenure with an official SRL time of 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 3 seconds.
Yep, GG's indeed. Once Dark Shadows finishes, we will work on getting them both. So, for the post-race interviews, because unless they don't want to, because let's face it, they were just doing this for 3 hours.
Right. Alrighty, well, we are joined by the victor of the race today, Dawnvenure. Congratulations, GG, and 3 hours in. How are you feeling?
Once I realized it was like cross keys, I'm like, well, this is gonna be at least 3 hours long. Especially when there was Randomizer as well, but at least there was no boss shuffle, so it wasn't so bad. Just finding the go mode item and trying to remember everything. Like, at some point, I just get lost in my own notes, and I just kind of like ran off to other places to do things. Like, I forgot where the back of TR was for the longest time, so I'm just checking every other location until I found that one note.
I completely understand that. I think that's been my biggest mistake on cross keys, is forgetting where I put a note and just bodying myself and losing all semblance of reality. So, but I mean, otherwise, man, that was a 3-hour seed. Like, I don't. We don't even know if it's fast Ganon, by the way. We don't even have a way to confirm that, because Dark Shadows is actually on their way up doing GT right now. So, but pretty much an oops almost all dungeons seed for you. The only thing you didn't get was the shovel, which at this point I'm pretty sure is on the right side of GT.
So one thing I wanted to ask you about Dawnvenure is, as far as cross keys go, there were some things that were good and some things that were bad about this seed innately. I do think the access to the dungeons is pretty nice, though. Pretty much everything in the accessible overworld. How'd you feel about that? I mean, that seemed pretty free, didn't it?
Yeah, just getting around to it. Then I kept on like dipping into pod because I'm like, it's right here. I keep on getting keys for it. Might as well keep going back. And then I just kept on dying to like the hammer yum because I don't know why. Like, I usually get it first try, and then this time it took me like 14, 15 tries, and like, oh man, I'm just gonna leave. My laser skips I don't know how to do very well, so I'm like, I'll come back. And yeah, like finding the dungeons really close to each other, that was pretty convenient. Like, even if they were in like the Dark World, they're really close to a Dark World portal, so it wasn't so bad to get to them. Like, getting to Green Pendant, you had to go through every little thing. Like, gotta go from like CAC to Dark Mountain to other thing, yeah, to the Green Pendant. It was a long trek.
I will say, though, that the decision to remember it when you did was pretty pivotal. There were still other things, on your table that could have been picked first, and I think choosing to reward yourself for the investment of the time for getting that pendant, probably the right choice. Well, I mean, it was. You obviously won. But it's just like amazing how all this kind of unfolded. The beginning of the race was kind of like the two of you trading advantages. You had a much earlier hammer than Dark Shadows did, and Dark Shadows found that mirror much sooner. So it was very interesting to see how these routes coalesced upon each other, because they were very different for a long time.
They really were. I mean, in all honesty, I think they were pretty different the entire time. The funniest thing, if you can remember 3 hours ago, was y'all's escape. Y'all actually died in the exact same moment. So y'all both died to the ball and chain guards, and then that is when the divergence started. Because Dark Shadows went right to avoid the pawn chain cards. You went back left and got past them. And then that's when we started just looking cross-eyed.
You don't get to see right side Hyrule Castle that often.
I always forget it's a thing. I'm just so used to going left.
Yeah, everybody is. And Randomizer sometimes, if you find something that you don't want to run into, it can be pretty rough. So,
I think like another like key moment for me was accidentally finding the old man. There was a dark room that I went into, and like I'm just gonna move up straight ahead because if I jump down, hear a jump down, I know it's the old man cave, and I didn't move. Like I didn't hear a jump down, so I'm like, well, I'm already moving. I thought I was at the old man, honestly, the whole time. And then I get to the other side of the cave, and it's the back of the old man cave. I'm like, well, we can see where this goes.
yeah, Dark Shadows actually found that pretty early, and got up to do all those checks relatively quickly. So that was pretty crazy to see that, because they got their fire rod and they were going around and they were doing a lot of the checks that they could do with the fire rod. So they did Eastern Palace pretty quickly before you. The like you guys said, y'all were trading blows left and right, because it was at one point Dark Shadows hit go mode before you. Actually, the problem was Dark Shadows hit go mode with 3 more dungeons to do. You hit go mode with 1 to do. So that was unfortunate. So
yeah, we're seeing him now make his way over towards the Ganon fight, maybe stopping to think about whether or not it was fast Ganon or not. And that may have been like, I think it might have been with the delaying. Anyway, so going to save and quit here probably to prepare for the fight, but it was just kind of interesting how many different twists and turns. Like, knowledge is definitely a big part of this kind of format, and there was at least a few moments both in terms of what you guys were doing and what we were saying that felt like, wait, what did I just say or what did I just see? Like, we were losing our minds throughout this entire race.
I think the seed broke Dark Shadows.
Well, so yeah, like in the chat thing I see, it's kind of screwy. Like, I went into the Ganon drop down, and it was the normal lumberjack drop, and when I don't remember where I came out of, but after beating Turtle Rock, it put me out where I think the drop down normally would be. Oh, no, never mind. It brought me the 5-6 bomb. Never mind. But yeah, I actually completely forgot about Blind's hut, where it was, and how I got over to Death Mountain. So it just so happened I got to that side and jumped down when I had the Moon Pearl and found it again. Like, it wasn't marked off. It's just I didn't make a note of it.
I think he's having a moment. I think is what it is. I think the Seedler broke him. Because I think what he's thinking is probably forgetting just the fact that you got to drop down the Magic Bat spot and thinking, oh well, I got to go to Ganon, and just having that moment. I'm not sure. He'll probably be able to explain to us better in actual voice chat. That's probably what's going on. This is probably him typing at the moment. I don't know. I understand where Dark is coming from here, like having this moment of just like is exasperation of like what is going on. So I kind of understand. But shout outs to the collection rate of 196 and 216. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That is 20 spots in this cross key sanity that you didn't check, or that you. There's 5 of those in GT, by the way. 5 of those in GT. Let's go ahead and point that out. 5 of those are in GT. Ugh, that is so.
Well, like 5 in GT. Well, 1, 2, 3 in.
Sahash rolls, right?
I was gonna say Turtle Rock.
Which 3 didn't you check in Turtle Rock? Oh no, the 3 in the front.
Yeah.
So Did you check the back of Sahashrals? I don't think you actually went there as a outside of Bunny, did you?
I went there once in the middle as well.
Okay,
to get
so you
the
did
3
check the
items.
back of. Okay, so yeah, that's 8 right there, out of 20. So there's probably just other ones that were standing pieces of heart or what have you, like on ledges. I don't think you got the Lake Hylia Island item, as well as the Zora ledge. I'm pretty sure you didn't get that either. Did you even check Zora?
Yeah, I checked Zora Ledge. I think it was arrows. There was also a Misery Mire I didn't do. Well, I was gonna say Big Bomb, that turned out to be the front of TR.
Oh, you didn't go to Mire at all?
I didn't. I did the front of Mire. I didn't do the back of Mire.
Okay, so there's a couple checks there. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to... Good lord. But Dark did just get through with Ganon. We're going to be bringing Dark Shadows in. Once they get through, that is an SRL time for Dark Shadows of 3:12:47. GG's to Dark Shadows on that absolutely just horrific seed. That was awful. A lot of fun to watch. I'm sure it was a lot less fun to play. So, bring in Dark Shadows on it. Dark Shadows, my man. So you were saying the seed is screwy. What's going on?
Well, I could have swore that after I beat Aga 2, I save quit, went to the village and dropped down there.
No.
That just kind of tells you how messed up my mind is right now.
3 hours later on a seed, dude, I think the seed broke you. Like everything was legit. I was saying it before you got in here. I'm just sure the seed broke. Understandably so. This seed was a giant pile of fun to watch, not fun to see each runner go insane. GG's on finishing it though, because literally the fact that the hook shot and the Cane of Samaria were literally right next to each other, you were in go mode first, actually. But because you had 3 dungeons to do compared to Dawnvenure's 1, Dawnvenure just had to go complete TR and drop down. We still don't know if it is fast Ganon. We have no idea.
It was
So
never truly
it's
established.
Yeah, it's not fast Ganon.
how do you know?
Because the hole in the pyramid was
It wouldn't open because it is entrance, because you would have to open it in order to be able to check that entrance. Fast Ganon would not open that on entrance just randomly. We said the same thing, by the way, and somebody corrected us.
Yeah, one of those like niche things that you just got to remember about the combination of settings, and that tripped me up a lot personally.
Yeah, so fast Ganon would only be determined by dropping into Ganon and being told you cannot. That's the only way to actually tell it in this setup. So I thought the same thing, and I was like, yeah, no, it's not fast Ganon because the hole wasn't open. And then after a while, everybody in chat was like, no, like it's entrance. Why would they just let you have access to that? And it would kind of defeat the purpose of entrance of beating Aga 2 altogether. So, but so we asked the thoughts of the winner Dawnventure about it. We were covering all the bases with how wonderfully bad this seed was. I mentioned the locations of the dungeons being relatively nice. If there was anything that you could say was nice about this seed, do you think that's it, or do you have something else that you could say nice about this seed other than where you would like to throw it?
I don't really have anything nice to say about that seed because I still don't even know where the desert big key is.
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I do. It was in Hookshot.
Yes, that's correct. It was in the back left corner of it.
Yeah,
Which, considering I got that for go mode.
Yeah, you if you would have hovered to it, you were attempting to get up there, and you were having some I think it was no, not map issues. You were just you kind of got it and then you missed it. If you would have actually made that hover, you would have had the big, and that would have probably sped you up a little bit instead of having to do Meyer. So
Well, if I'd gotten the GT hover and not had to double dip the entirety of GT.
Yeah, that's a factor too.
Yeah, I mean, you could have also checked fast scan, but then again, niche information, very niche information of whether or not that is something that is even like it's one of those things where I never would have considered that or thought about it. I would have just completely just zonked out on it because it made sense once somebody pointed it out. So, but I can agree 100%. Yeah. So Reg's saying cross-world entrance shuffle. If you go into a cave in the white world and it has a second. Oh well, never mind. He's not talking about. He was answering somebody's question in chat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those, like, this is probably one of the filthier settings that you can get out of Mystery Week. I mean, like, you two have been through the ringer. That's the only way I can describe it. A 3+ hour seed, and it's not even next week yet.
Yeah, I mean, in general, cross keys is not entirely this awful. This was a matter of placement. Like, the Randomizer didn't even really come in. The only time the Randomizer came into play was in the very beginning when y'all both died to the ball and chain guards at the exact same time. And then y'all had never a moment where y'all were in the same spot. So
yeah, at that point I said, nope, we're going right side. I've never went right side. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, and then Dawn went to the left. So y'all had like forever the routing divergence then, because y'all were pretty much close to neck and neck there. You were a little bit ahead going into the right due to a couple of things. And actually, I think didn't you die a second time in Escape, Dawn?
I think there might have been a death warp at one point, but
yeah, I think they were in Dark Cross when they took a hit and accident and had to go back, but not too much time lost in that instance.
I gotta say though, it was definitely one of my favorite things this entire seed. Just early on, seeing a right side Hyrule Castle, you just don't see it often. Gotta emphasize that. That was pretty neat to see Dark Shadows.
Yeah, and big shout outs to both of y'all for completing this monster of a seed. Like, it was definitely not easy by any means, even considering the fact that it was cross keys with Randomizer. So with all that being said, I'm kind of trying to let the credits roll here on Dark Shadows in, so that way we can get this on restream. So we have that, but I do want to give the last couple shout outs here. Shout outs to our runners first and foremost, DarkShadows59 and Dawnvenure for putting up with this and doing a wonderful job. Give them a follow. They deserve every bit of it. They provided your entertainment today, as well as shout outs to our tracker, who also put up with a holy amount of stuff. Regaro doing a fantastic job. Give them a follow, as well as my co-commentator, Udai Monistic. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. It was a blast.
Well, I gotta say, feelings mutual, and I'm very glad I got to commentate this with you, because you know a lot more about cross keys than I do. And that's really making me nervous for next week when I play, or even this week when I play. So yeah, it's been more than just an asset to be able to share the mic with you today. It's a lot of fun. And you put up with some pretty awful puns, so you get bonus points in my book.
I love puns. It's even funnier to have a funny adverse reaction to it. But with that, as the credits are coming to an end, I am going to give one last shout out to Fear Agent for really being a driving force behind getting all this together, who is like the leader amongst us. Shout outs to them for putting this together for a second year. Thank you to Speed Gaming for helping host the matches, as well as the A Link to the Past randomizer channels, also league channels. So thank you everybody for joining us. I hope everybody has a wonderful week and stay safe.
Yep, and folks, if you're looking for a little bit more randomizer, we have 2 more matches tonight. Karnath FD versus I Am the Shores on Speed Gaming 3, starting at 9:10, and then Siberian Bull 9 versus The Demolisher on SG2, starting at 10:10. I've been Damonistic, joined today by unknown availability. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and have a wonderful night.
Peace out.